All right, y'all. So I know we have a lot to go over. Um, but it is so good to see you guys. It is literally Sunday. It's another week. One more week that we done knocked out. We done knocked out. And I'm glad to actually get to be here with you guys here on what can I say? Another week. We survived the country. I guess the country has had a lot of changes. We just finished talking, I believe, last week about uh, Oklahoma giving out half of its reparations, and I always believe in the domino effect. If y'all get what I'm saying, like some people are afraid to do certain things unless they see other people do it, and then they say, you know what, we can't do it at the national level, but this is why I'm so much for local, because believe it or not, you can affect local faster than you affect the national level. But if you're already doing it and you can prove that the process works, then guess what? Because they're going to, what are they always going to do? They're going to do a study to say like, hey, like what y'all talking about, is that even possible? How's it going to work out with the people? And so I'm glad that I get to sit here with two of my co-hosts. We got shout out to Kai, NY 007, co-host of BMT. Thank you. You know, I already got my shirt. Dana has a fan. She has a fan. I get jealous when they show off their fans. But now I got a shirt, so I feel like we have a collective here too. And shout out to the real Dana. You can also find her on Magados. I got to put her link into the chat. You guys, mods, put Dana's link into the chat. She gets some really good, sturdy shows. Along with, she also does it's a sisterhood with Robbie, another amazing sister, that they do something on Friday for the sisters. It's really good talk. Call in. Those ladies are ripping it and killing it out there on the waves. So, and it's not just something where they're only just talking about women. They're talking about men and accountability for the whole county down the road. We're also joined here by a good brother. Me and him are in a Facebook group where we talk about grassroots level problems that we can build on. Brother Dion, he has come through. And literally, I told him last night, a few of us had a talk. Rob, let me know if you want me to drop the link for you, sister. We talk about a lot of grassroots things that are tangible, that I really do appreciate doing and talking with the brother, that some people look at like, well, what about national? Well, if you can handle it from a town level, those wins build up into a city, into a state, until after a while they can't ignore your voice, because you see what I'm saying? You done proven the track record that we know how to manage it if y'all follow the said series of work. And so we're going to be talking and looking at a few things, especially today here on BMT, that I'm very excited about. We also have the Patreon. It's in the description below, the Patreon. Join it. That's going to be where we're going to do the more in-depth sensor talk. We just finished talking about building that. I did a talk from a subscriber request about building a family. That was pretty pulling heartstrings, because literally some of the pictures in there are me. And literally, I want you to understand, when you're talking about reparations, thank you, Vic. When you're talking about reparations, when you're talking about policies, you're talking about affecting the demographic of the family. Does anybody object to that? Like, your demographic of the family model is going to be affected greatly. The dynamic of the man and the woman, and literally how they traverse the life, and pass it on to children, it's going to affect you. So we're seeing a lot of people go about and fight for resources. And mind you, our predecessors, they fought for resources to get children to be able to have education, affordable education. So we're here. A lot of people are freaking out. Does anybody know about the North Carolina reparations? Before we go into y'all summarize, do y'all think it's money? Do y'all think it's, hey, we're now giving them acres and a mule? We're giving them all the white women and women that they want. What do y'all perceive as the reparations? What's y'all thoughts on that before we get into the first topic? Welcome to the Hour of Power.
Well, everybody on video, I'd be on video too.
You done did the whole lip gloss and all the show out.
I know, I'm about to put my lip gloss on too.
I'm about to say you done shut down.
I was just being funny because of the dude was just acting very feminine.
But you shut that down though. I will give you that. Shout out to the real Dana. She definitely said, "Oh, you ain't about to come at me and think I won't shut y'all down." So I will give Dana that. She does know how to shut down. Huh?
What'd I say? Which part?
No, it was that they're like Dana's catfishing, and Dana was like, "Oh, word?"
Oh, they did say I was catfishing?
Until you put on the camera and then try to shut.
They must have never been to my channel.
They like going to Ratchet.
Everybody else up there catfishing. They said Jessica was the main one catfishing.
Stop it, Dana. We over here.
No, I don't know. I'm not. That's not shade. I'm just saying. I don't know what's that. I don't know why people don't like her.
Somebody else talk instead of Dana. She's too busy with that damn lip gloss and shit.
You mentioned it.
We will be starting up a lip gloss GoFundMe fund for Dana. So that we can have lip glosses to put out there.
Kai has on lip gloss too.
I know she do. So she put it on.
It looks pretty.
Yeah, I usually don't wear red either. Thank you, Dana. I had to because of the.
You know what? You could wear red and don't need other makeup. Like red substitutes a full face of makeup.
Mm-hmm.
I put on lip gloss.
Yeah, it brings it out.
Ladies. Very beautiful, both of you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Probably.
Now, I got a question, y'all. How y'all feeling about North Carolina passing reparations? And I know you cried when you heard that.
No.
We're free now, Dana. We're free. Finally free. They got reparations. Y'all can go do whatever y'all want to do. I thought this is what we all wanted. We got reparations finally. So we free. Y'all can move to North Carolina, go get yourself some land, and go live about y'all life. I don't know how much is it gonna be for black people out there, but I mean shit. How many
residents and descendants?
No, that's for the residents.
It's for the residents and descendants of North Carolina specifically.
It's for resident descendants? Okay, so what if I move to that town? If I move to that town,
see, I thought about that, but you can't. Okay. Your generation, they're going by or your prior generation. But actually, I'm going to find out more information myself because I do want to know more specific details. It's fresh and new, so they didn't say everything yet, but it did get passed. And I emailed you right when I found out.
I saw that, and literally, we're about to get into that again. Yeah. So, what do y'all know about it before we get into it? What do y'all know? I want to know.
Well, I do know it was passed by the Asheville City Council, but the city, what do you call it? The city, the county board is not on board. So I don't know if the county board, if they don't approve it, I think they control like the taxation. I think the county has to approve it as well for allocation of money. But they're basically just talking about programs for home ownership and businesses for Black residents. And it's an initiative. So it's like a public policy, but it's not like an actual, it's an initiative, which means that's what they want to do. That doesn't mean that's what's going to get done.
No, right.
But it did get passed though.
Right.
Unless it was part.
The No, it got passed. It definitely got passed.
It did, right? Okay.
Yeah, it got passed. Because they brought on the city council to, after they had passed it, to explain to the people. You know, some people it's like how they had to explain about it's like how they had to explain about how they had to explain defunding. You remember when they would talk about defunding and everybody freaked out, and Daniel's like, let me explain defunding to y'all. Because y'all about to start doing some dumb stuff.
I mean, defunding just means, it can mean a lot of things. That's why I don't even like that word. Like,
I know, but I think it would have probably easier if they would have said allocating funds.
Or just police reform. That's what people been fighting for so long, police reform. Now you're talking about defunding. Right. And in New York City, they laying off 22,000 people that were working in law enforcement because they're going to take money away and put it in programs. And just real quick, and Judge Joe Brown, I'm actually going to make this a small clip and post it. He even said it. He was like, when you have a man outside with a gun or a hammer, you know, instead of police come, you want to have social workers show up and say, let's talk it out. So, I mean, you do need jobs, because if any place that has a high poverty rate, you're going to see more crime. That's just factual. So what are you doing with that money? Are you creating more jobs for people to have? Are you creating more opportunities for people to get certified to get a job? So where's the money going? That is the question.
Right. Okay. We also joined here we also have my brother Agnes. And we also have the Honorable Cyber Lion. Again, I want y'all to understand, I don't ever, but somebody brought it up to me, BMT, why do you always get on echo chambers? That's a damn lie. Because Dana will try to shut me down in a heartbeat the minute I say the wrong scripture in a goddamn mandate law, or Dion or Perfect. Kai has called me up. So trust and believe, I am far from the echo chamber. I have no.
What is echo chamber? Sorry, what does that mean?
An echo chamber is pretty much you're amongst a group that literally nobody will correct anybody, even if the wrong information is being given out or being thrown out. You want to be amongst people that if I'm off code, I charge it upon y'all here to sit me down and say, and trust me, that one down there with the glasses and the lip gloss has no problem doing it. But I don't get mad about it. I have no problem about it. I have no problem when Dion corrected me on the first time on the show. Perfect and me have had times where we checked each other. You know what I'm saying? Kai has hit me up. Like, that's how it should be when you're looking for solutions. Where somebody starts to veer off from the plan, you stop them, say, you're back here. You're getting away from what we're talking about. Hell, when we get off the damn subject, correct it. So that's why it's the hour of power, because we're now looking at it. Is it tangible that we can recreate it in New Jersey? Can we recreate it in Arizona? Can we do it in Chicago? Can we do it in South Carolina? All eyes are on this city. Can this be recreated and redone? Everybody's like, well, they're not getting money. But then again,
well, it's already being recreated, and I think that's the confusion. And let me just make this clear. The reason why you think I'm jumping down your throat or anybody else's throat is just the fact that as Black people, I'm just focused on Black people, we need to reprogram ourselves as the way we think. You know, it should not be a question on if we deserve it. No, like, we deserve reparations. But this in North Carolina, and William Darity, Dr. Darity, professor of public policy at Duke University in Durham, he wrote in an email Wednesday saying that he was skeptical about the local and piecemeal actions to address various forms of racial inequality being labeled reparations, which is true. He was like, for reparations to be effective, they would have to close the pre-tax racial wealth disparity in the United States, which would cost $10 to $12 trillion, 3 to 4 times more than the state and municipal spendings. And so this is on a municipal level. And what they're doing is basically what they were elected to do. The Black people in Asheville make up 12% of the 93,000 residents. So if you have a population of people living below the poverty line or who are having a hard time getting home ownerships, you're supposed to create public policies to help the people because they're paying taxes. So no, this is not reparations. It is policies specifically for Black people to help them. But they have that in Newark. They have that different programs in Jersey City, different programs to help you become a homeowner or a business. If you're a minority in New York City, they have that everywhere and use the word minority. So maybe the difference here is they're saying Black residents, but that's
Right.
it. It's not really reparations.
But is that not what y'all want? Before I give it over to Perfect Blackness, and we also have the Honorable Cyber Lion, is that not because you saying, because literally I know there was a stickler about saying minority, because as we know, saying minority can be white woman, can be of the sexual alphabet people. So when they specifically said Black people, as when Kai sent me that paper, sent me that that message, and that was from the city council, they kept on reiterating Black people, Black people, Black people, Black people. So they wanted to make sure that they affirmatively said this is for Black people. Like, you sound low, Perfect Blackness.
All right. Hold on. Let me drop back off. Hold on.
All right, go ahead. All right, so we have the Honorable Cyber Lion. Go ahead, man.
Hey, BMT. Thanks for having me on the show, everybody. I appreciate it. It's my first time out, so really appreciate being amongst you guys. Can you guys hear me clearly and audibly?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. So, definitely, I think, as you said, this certainly isn't an echo chamber. And nowhere I am is an echo chamber, so I'll definitely make sure that we hold you to the to the highest standard. So, I think, from my perspective, when we look at this, and this was some sentiments that I had mentioned over at the Black Brain Trust, I think a lot of what we have now, in terms of the name that it's being called, I think we just have to run with that. And I'm sorry if I seem to dissent with maybe the general consensus here. It might just be a measure to help out some of those local town folks, but for all intents and purposes, one trick of the trade in the law is generally how something is named from a statute standpoint. Why is that? So that you can later go back and look at that model, and you can use that as a framework. Now, I'm a computer scientist myself, but you can look at that as a particular framework for something later in the future. That's what statutes are for. And so with that particular city council coming up with that measure and proposing it as such, there are some advantages. Again, it's in the name, reparations. Is it reparations? That's up for debate. But when you asked a very important question, is this a model that we can apply in other cities and other states and other provinces? All of this is relatively very fresh and very new. So we have to understand that particular council. I think from reading the measure, they have maybe two Black individuals on that particular council in terms of the minority. So this isn't a proposal by white folks where it's just a whitewash and they're doing this out of some sense of dread or feeling sorry. No, they have two Black folks on that council, and I think they they titled it appropriately. But again, this is round one of a 15 round fight, and so just from a boxing standpoint, as a former fighter as well, sometimes you get the knockout in the first round, sometimes you get the knockout in the third round. This is a little bit different. I think the reference that the lady made in terms of the professor when he says, this is going to take obviously some federal initiative and some federal measures to really get some steam behind it. I think that's very true. However, again, as I mentioned over the Black Brain Trust, in this part of the game, I think we want to be very cautious attacking this or setting this up where it isn't beneficial so that it can't be used as a model further down the line. Right now, I think our collective job is if one little city and town in the US of A has something called a reparation, whether it's a reparation or not, but it has the intention of being as such, what we need to be doing is saying, okay, for those 12% of people down there in Asheville, because that whole thing's surrounded by I think they put a lot of that in the hands of the city manager. He has a lot of onus in terms of that. And so what we need to be doing, or what they need to be doing, is having someone at their side coming up with some very viable and suitable measures that will make sense. So as they begin to walk this thing out, as they begin to flesh it out, as things begins to grow some legs and some arms and fingers, we have a very consistent set of this is what we want, or this is what we need. We need to amend this. They mentioned provisions about certain organizations within the city and the state and the federal level being involved, but there's no onus there. So this is the time to really inject some details and really flesh this out so that it does become a successful measure, and it's something that can be used as a model when another city says, hey, that Asheville, Carolina reparations model is proper. We want to use it as a framework. So
okay. Like I said, I remember, like I said in the chat, it will make Black people lazy. And I mean, he's welcome to his opinion. Kai, what you had to say about that? I know, but you showed that to me the second it got pushed through on it got pushed through. What are your thoughts about that? Because I know you've been reading extensively over it. I've been reading extensively over it. There's a lot of stuff to that. What do you think there?
Good evening, everyone, too, by the way. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
What I was going to say was, like Dana said, it seems it had to do with like property, things like that. That's all I saw. I honestly thought there's more to it, but they just didn't have it out just yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be wrong. It could be just limited to that, because I didn't see anything about, a specific cash amount. And I think a lot of us thinking of like cash for the most part, because that's what we've spoken on a lot.
Right.
It just, to me, the downside to being in the United States is that I don't feel we're really united as states. We work on so many different levels, even with laws and everything else. So it seems like, I thought if they were to get into reparations, that it would just be a nationwide thing where everyone would be on the same page with it. How it's going to come about, I don't know, but it's just North Carolina. So when I heard it, it seemed exciting though. I was like, something's going on and it's happened quick. And I know people that are from there. I have people from there too. Like, just like different cultural sets. So it does affect me. Well, I would like to know more about it. So I just have to inquire on it so I can just get some more information on it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the comment from the person, got the name, that said it's going to make Black people lazy, I would need more information on what if that's part of your question to me. I need to know what specifically do they mean by that? Like, what just reparations going to make Black people lazy? Like, I will hope there's more to that question.
Right.
I don't know. That's it for me.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Much better. Much better. Perfect.
Okay. I want. I want to say that I admittedly I haven't read the proposal, but
Likewise,
I
meet
will
up.
say,
Meet up. Meet up.
huh?
No, I'm saying likewise. Just meet up.
Okay.
We had a feedback. We had a feedback. Go ahead.
Now, I will say that if that proposal has words like minorities and stuff like that in it, I can't take it serious. I can't. So I don't know. I haven't read it. I suppose that I should. I've been so busy. But if that proposal has minority or people of color in it and all that crap, if it has that up in there, then yeah, I can't take the doggone thing serious. I just can't.
I think
For
they're very
what?
specific. They do say Black people,
Yeah, they
African
do.
Americans.
Yeah.
They are very specific about the group, but it's basically it said it's the resolution does not mandate direct payments. Instead, it will make investments in areas where Black residents face disparities. But that's what you're supposed to be doing anyway.
Right. You see, yeah, and if it has language like that, where it's just broad as, as a Dr. Claude Anderson say, broad and ambiguous terms and all of that. Again,
Hmm.
I can't take it serious. If it's just handing out checks, I can't. Me personally, I just
It's
can't
going to
take
be
it
a
serious.
gentrification project. Watch and see.
That's what it sounds
Right,
like.
and
They'll be
if
able
it
to
says that, if it
get
has
the
that type of
land
language, that's
very
exactly
cheap.
what it's going to be.
A lot of municipal
So one of the things about one of the
Who
things
who
about
on the panel has actually read the whole thing?
I've read it. I need to
I've
examine
read it.
it, and I have it
There's
up, and
not a lot to.
I read
it
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, and they also have the actual resolution. It's a resolution, and so it's not dated. And I don't know what the plan is yet, but apparently, Buncombe County's Board of Commissioners is not clearly behind the reparations measure, though it has a 4-3 Democratic majority, as if that means anything. So I don't know for that city and for that state you need to have the county board of commissioners behind you because maybe those are the ones who actually allocate the money or cuts the check for programs or what have you. But my question would be, and I think when cities, particularly cities, have this because they admitted that Asheville was a city that partake in slavery or had slavery. If you are going to give reparations or restitution because of slavery, you need to. Can people mute?
Mute up, mute up, mute
I
up. If
think
you're
that's
not talking,
Michelle.
Um,
if you're not talking, just mute up, please.
you need to say, okay, being that you specifically benefited from slavery in what amount? Because they could calculate that. And then they should work from what it was then to how much it would accumulate to today. And I don't think they're not having that discussion. Maybe they will have it. So this is something new. Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, they're creating something with reparations, some type of acknowledgement. And it's a great start, but it's really at this point when you see that happening, especially where you live at, it's up to the people there to not just sit by and let these people just make these decisions and come up with these solutions. You need to actually be a voice to and a determining factor of what they are and are not going to do, what they need to be giving you.
True.
So let me
Let
ask
me.
this. Let me ask this. Does the measure say anything? Or does it touch
We about to go over all
taxes?
that.
Does it? Okay. All right.
We about to go over
Well,
that.
let me know. Actually, I'm about to email you this one because you could actually, they have the resolution attached to it. So I'm going to email it right now to you, BMT.
Okay, let me go ahead and play what the city council went over and how
I just emailed it to you as well.
okay, and how they address it because they got pushback immediately after they started talking about it, and they're like, okay, so I see we got to make it easier for a lot of y'all. So let me go ahead and get it started. I think I got it. Oh, I got it.
To reparations into the Black community. Our Dana Griffin has details.
In a unanimous virtual vote, Asheville City Councilors approved reparations
Mute
for
up,
Black
everyone.
residents. The resolution also apologizes for Asheville's role in slavery and discrimination. It comes after the city removed and covered its Confederate monuments.
It's simply not enough to remove statues. Black people in this country are dealing with issues that are systemic in nature.
Councilman Keith Young said the creation of generational wealth in the Black community is important and will help families for future generations. This does not give direct payments to descendants of slaves, but instead invests money to areas that traditionally see racial disparities. President Lincoln promised 40 acres and a mule to freed slaves, but his successor, Andrew Johnson, overturned that order. Many argue that decision put generations of African Americans at a wealth disadvantage ever since.
A lot of the feedback that we've gotten so far by email is that, why should we pay for what happened during slavery? and my pushback against that is reparations is more than restitution for what happened during the transatlantic slave trade. It is a dark, evil sin of chattel slavery that is the root of all injustice and inequity at work in America today.
Investments will be made to increase minority home ownership, access to affordable housing, increase minority business ownership, and career opportunities. Other priorities include closing gaps in healthcare, education, and fairness within the criminal justice system.
Reparations make it so that we're not just acting like we're equal, we're also addressing what happened and making sure that we make that extra step so that we can get to where we're actually all equal. And that's what reparations mean to us. It's not a handout. It's actually doing what everybody else gets and giving everyone that chance for an American dream.
Councilman Young says they hope to report next steps within 6 months. In Asheville, Dana Griffin, WYFF News 4.
So one of the things about it is this, and I spoke about this when I was talking about family a little bit, that one of the biggest sins was that you and your family was immediately feeling the blunt trauma blow of a man or a woman being locked out of certain systems. I remember my granddaddy told me how no matter how much money he put down on trying to buy just 2 acres, they would never allow him to pay it off. You understand what I'm saying? So he was like, he had to just let it go. If he had known that, he'd just say, well, fuck it, I'm out. But again, certain things or deals were done like that to greatly handicap a lot of people from a lot of these things. What Dana brought up is true. There are actually there are state ledgers still there where they keep track of how much iron came from certain plantations, how much of certain materials and stuff came from certain places. You can't get rid of that. Those are actual ledgers that are written down that are now multi-million-dollar corporations and businesses today. So it would be like, well, are you going to give those shares and stocks to the blacks that work there? Because that would be honestly what you would be saying. If there was a cotton and sewing business here in the South, do the blacks get dibs towards the business? Because it literally was made off of the blacks. And if that's not something that's literally being spoken about, I don't want to hear the story. Well, my granddaddy started this when he came from a certain country. You know what I'm saying? And he started off with a penny. But you don't tell the other story of the 40 other slaves in the background that were picking the cotton. Then it really wasn't off of that one penny. It was kind of off of cattle slavery. So I understand it's just a start out model. I don't get too much depth into it. We have Likewise here, and we also have Nichelle here. Go ahead, Likewise. But I remember you said you had a comment saying that this might make them lazy. What's your thoughts on so far what we went over so far? Go ahead.
Well, I want to go back and touch on the video that you played earlier. That some of the issues that they wanted to address,
right?
In particular, like healthcare, affordable housing. Now, when it comes to affordable housing, it's like you live where you can afford to live. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand like how does that even put in a situation where like if you're African American that you're supposed to be allotted cheaper rent? What does that have to do with anything? It has nothing to do.
It's not cheaper rent. It's a structured. There are structured settlements. There are structured ways of doing home ownership.
Can I?
For example, not everyone has to put
one at a
10.
time. One at a time. Let go ahead, Michelle.
No, go ahead, Michelle.
For example, in some of the areas, what they've done is a rent-to-own program that you'll rent for a series of years. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, but you will rent for a specific period of time. And if you successfully make all of your rental payments, you will now qualify. You build up your credit and you'll now qualify to buy at a predetermined price. So, for example, if you were certain programs that I work with in Texas, in 2005, the program began where you could lease the house for 15 years. After 15 years, you would get the house at the $75,000 value it had in 2005. Those houses are now worth upward of $150,000.
Okay, now with that,
so there are ways.
Okay, so with that being said, why would that be included in any type of like package for what they're talking about as far as reparations?
Because you need somebody to build those houses. You need home builders that are invested in that area. These type of houses are new. They're new houses. They have new plumbing. They have new wiring. They're up to code. So we want to get people into houses that are code compliant. But at the same time, you have to do something to attract the investors to actually build and develop. So these structured things, they could be a gold mine. You will create generational wealth because you'll have a house to pass on, presumably, instead of renting your entire life. They invest you in home ownership. There are a lot of studies that have been done that say people treat a property that they own better than one that they rent. So there's a psychological component to this as well.
Okay.
That if you feel like you own it.
Okay, with that being said, then there's gonna have to be some clauses put into that because a lot of people of all races are not meant for home ownership. They don't understand that goes everything into it. You know, like
but likewise, why do you say all races if we're talking about black ownership?
Because I'm not trying to isolate the irresponsibility of ownership and trying to put it all on black people. I'm saying in general, a lot of people who would want to buy a house, you know, you have to go through a process to buy a house. You have to know how to take care of a house. You have to understand how to manage your money right. You know, your property taxes, your housing insurance. You know, there's certain things that you just can't skip on. You know, you get behind
programs. I understand what you're saying. These programs are designed in such a way to teach those things.
Here's my point. With that being said, there's certain things that are going to have to be included within that. And that's going to be some kind of retainer for your insurance, retainer for your property taxes.
So,
because the thing is, like, if you pass away and then you find out that your cousin finds out 10 years later that, hey, you know what, so and so left me property. That house has been bought and sold by the state or the government or the city because the property taxes weren't taken care of.
So hold on. So let me hit at this. Okay, my grandma and a lot of my her family used to live in Springfield, Massachusetts. Okay, now y'all have ever seen some of them houses up there in upstate that are made out of brick? Like it's a certain type of brick, and at one time a lot of black people used to have them houses that they were renting to own. Now I asked my grandma, I said, "Grandma, why'd you give up the house?" She said, "We couldn't. The taxes shot up. We just couldn't afford it, son. Like
yes.
we just couldn't afford it."
Brownstones.
She said, "Yeah, there you go. Thank you. The brownstones." So she was like, "We just couldn't afford it." So what happened was a lot of the black families were being pushed out. And so
intentionally.
No.
My grandma said they were being pushed out.
Responsibility of the owner to take care of it.
Yeah, but this is part of reparations. When you have real estate, you had home ownership discrimination. When you see there were a lot of rent to own back in the 60s and the 50s, because that was a way of the seller to get more money from Black people, because mortgage companies didn't want to give Black people mortgages. So they was like, well, how can we get more money? Because the white people were leaving to go to the suburbs. And so the only way they figure, okay, how can I sell my home more than from what it's really worth, right? And I could get more out of it, even though it's not worth that much. They set up these rent to own. They set up a lot of fraudulent programs and or overcharged Black people, you know what I'm saying, simply because they were Black, or just didn't rent them. You had it's called redlining. Then they also had white lining, to where the white people sold their homes at a crazy price, and it wasn't even worth that. And that down payment was for them to go buy a home in the suburbs. So it was a lot of things that were intentionally done under public policies that was perfectly legal, but under discriminatory acts. So it's not that Black people didn't know how to pay their bills on time.
Can I ask you?
We're playing.
I completely understand.
Can I say this one thing?
Go ahead, Michelle.
I want to say this quickly. Now, taxes. How do you make sure? Because trust me, this is chess, not checkers. They've done it before. They've built new homes in areas, and they gradually increase the property taxes. Increase the property taxes to the point where when generational wealth is tried to pass on, you have your own home now. What incentive is there for you to continue to pay the property taxes at your parents' home when they get above $1,000 a month? In many areas where they were left houses from the 50s and the 60s, the monthly, I'm breaking it down, the annual property taxes in certain areas like Oak Cliff, historical houses, some of them built in 1920s, been in families for years, but their property taxes are equivalent to over, they're $15,000 a month on some of these. Like, they're only on 1/8 of a lot, and they are literally paying over $1,000 a month in property taxes. So bear in mind when we're talking about these discussions,
because it's
we have to remember what has been done.
I'm just, only thing I'm saying is this.
It's been prorated. So,
but his thing. The only thing I'm saying is this. And I'm just being honest. A lot of the women were working at the sewing. That's back then when they had lead. Y'all remember them old jean factories where they had the sewing and all the women were making good wages and all the stuff, and the men were working at the mills and stuff. A lot of that stuff, that's when Blacks were doing a lot of skilled jobs of sewing. They were doing a lot of different things that were, back in the country come up. And guess what happened? If a warehouse or gets shut down and you fire 75% of those employees that have been working there 20 years plus, they're screwed. They're screwed. It's not like I can just rebirth myself. So now I'm at zero. A lot of people, from what my grandma told me, you couldn't just jump on welfare like that. And if you made a certain amount of money, they would have been like, whoa, what's Mr. Johnson doing in that home? Well, that's my husband. There, if you want this program, so granddaddy has to go down south to work. Grandma has to now hold down the home or literally get pushed out of the home. Not to mention, we still have Vietnam, where a lot of men went to and weren't getting the access. You remember that perfect? A lot of men were going to Vietnam. They damn sure weren't getting the benefits from the military. So I'm going to give it over to you, Dion. I know you got some work on it. I'm just saying, a lot of our people, we kept taking blow after blow after blow after blow. And there was no kind of payback. And let me know if I'm off. I got some of the people here with checking history. So for people to start acknowledging that they've been fucking us over, but they're not trying to pay us back. Oh yeah, we did you wrong, but you're not paying us back for those who wasted 40 to 60 years of their life, and you took their pension and ran off to wherever country with their wages. That really sets back 2 generations right there.
Can everybody mute their mic when they're not talking, so it won't be no feedback?
I think that's Michelle. She has some background stuff going.
Yeah, everybody. If you're not speaking, just mute your mic.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Can I pose a question to the panel? Because I pose a question to the panel.
Go ahead, and then I got Robbie. Go ahead.
Does everybody on the panel actually believe that reparations is needed and deserved?
Yeah, I believe. I done talked to my
I know
family.
I do.
Yes, I do.
Who doesn't?
If you ask me, no.
Yes.
I don't think it is.
You got any of you guys see the one?
No.
Any of you guys see the story about the reparations bill that's sponsored by the mayors? Has anyone seen the bill that's sponsored by the mayors?
Finish what he was saying.
Coalition of mayors for
What state?
Hang on, Michelle. Let Perfect Blackness.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Finish it. Let him finish. Go ahead. Go ahead, Perfect Blackness. You got 8 that says yes, 1 says no.
Okay, so who
likewise?
Who don't believe reparations is warranted for Black Americans?
Well, likewise, you say you don't. Yeah, likewise says no.
And why is that, sir? Why do you feel that that ADOS, FBI, why shouldn't Black Americans receive reparations?
Well, there was 2 parts to you asked whether it was needed and whether it was warranted.
Okay. Do Black Americans deserve? Should we get? Are we owed reparations?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So,
but my thing is in what form, and we discussed this last week. You know what I mean?
Oh, good. You said what form? Please let me answer that. One, I think tax exemption should be a part of it. I think tools, because the reason why I say tax exemption, because tax policy was used to deny a lot of Black people generational wealth. And to me, anything that's going to create generational wealth should be included in that. I think that definitely cash payments, but not just that. Business grants to African Americans so they can start businesses. I also think cash payments, perpetual cash, but for the next 100 years. See, I didn't hear a lot of things. At least I didn't read about a lot of things when the Jewish community was getting their reparations. Nobody talked about, well, you're not responsible for it, so therefore you shouldn't get it, or you should. There wasn't no means tested or anything like that. They just fucking gave it to them and let them do whatever it is they need to do or wanted to do with it. Nobody talked about, well, you're not responsible, so therefore you're gonna give it right back to them. You're gonna give it right back to the Germans. Nobody cared. They just gave it to them. They're still giving it to them now. And so for me, I just think when we start getting into these conversations about who deserves it more, or we need to make sure everybody is smart enough to handle this, that, and other. No. Just give the people what they deserve and let them do with it what they will.
But see, it doesn't. But see, that's where the
I disagree with that.
That's where the problem lies.
Right? Why is it that we have to be means tested, but everybody else to get a reparation? Nobody give a damn.
Well, here's the thing. We're talking about.
I got to get it over to Robbie, and Robbie has not spoken. So make sure y'all know Dion and Robbie.
It just seems to
we
me
have
that
to
we
move it
always
around.
put these levels of we want to put levels over ourselves that nobody else has ever had to meet.
But here's the thing, Perfect Blackness. Okay. Let's just say they're going to give every African American person $1 million, right?
That would be so low.
Okay. Well, I'm theoretically speaking. Okay. And then, what about your children? What about your grandchildren? What about your great grandchildren? What about your great great grandchildren? Are they supposed to get it too?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, then you know what? If that's the case, then we'll see how it goes. Because with that being said, and you're saying that's low, okay, we'll see. That's my whole point. $1 million for some people, let's just say $10,000. $10,000 to some people is a lot of money. $10,000 for most people is incomprehensible because they've never been in a position to even negotiate $10,000. So how the hell you think they're gonna act with $1 million? Nigga, somebody kill you over a car that they can't even keep.
So
basically, you're saying Black people don't know how to manage money.
Problem we start
they don't.
That mess.
No, they don't.
You're talking about a certain group of.
Give the people reparations. give it to them, and you just can't assume that everybody's going to be irresponsible.
Because every Jewish person, they know how to manage money.
They didn't ask that question.
Dana, I never said all blacks. I just said in general.
There are certain. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut. I don't want to cut perfect off.
You think all of them are just pure top? You know, the models of responsibility? Fuck no.
So
and you're talking about a certain type of group of black people.
You need to pass it.
Yeah, we got to pass it on. We got to pass it on. I'm not going to get too far into that. I got to keep it on the structure. We have Robbie and Dion. Let's keep it going. What y'all want to believe on who's responsible or not? Take that between you and your God at night time and pray about it. I ain't give a shit. So let's go ahead, Robbie. And then we also have Dion.
I think it's super dope that there is some actual movement towards reparations. I don't know where that feedback is coming from.
Yeah, everybody mute up. This
is a conversation that's been being had for a long, long time. So the fact that there's action instead of just talk and these talking points, that's super impressive to me. Do I think they have everything worked out? Probably not. Of course, there's more discussion to be had on how to meddle out this money. But understand the United States has been paying reparations to Holocaust survivors for several decades, and we didn't even have them in these camps. So for people to say that we don't deserve reparations in a continuous fashion, that's egregious to me. It was the free labor of slaves that built this economy and built their wealth. They had people cleaning their homes, tilling their ground, like farming the goods and services that gave them the wealth that is America. And to say that Black people don't know how to manage money, again, is also egregious. Black people know how to manage money better than most, I believe, because I know plenty of Black people that could survive for like a whole month on $300. You give somebody $3,000 and sometimes they can't even make it through that first week. Like, oh my God, I'm broke. What am I going to do? Black people know. Let me go ahead and get me 15 packages of ramen noodles. Let me go get me some cheaper meats, maybe some chicken thighs and some pork butts or whatever. I'm going to feed my family and handle my business. I think it's so disrespectful when our people belittle our people.
Facts.
So let me throw this at Dion can answer this one. That literally, and I show you up here, it says the North Carolina town votes to pay reparations. Understand this. A lot of these things go through a vote process. If literally it does not sound something that the town agrees upon, guess what? You can literally go down to city council and literally call it up and say, hey, we're not fine with this. This city individually voted for that. Whether y'all like it or not, they voted for that. That's what they wanted. So literally Asheville, a small city in Western North Carolina, has voted to pay reparations to Black residents. As the U.S. continues to grapple the stark racial inequality, Asheville City Council voted 7-0. That means nobody went against it, in favor of issuing what the city considered reparations, issuing a formal apology, so they acknowledged it, for its participation in the sanctioning of enslavement of Black people. Hundreds of years, Black blood spilled and basically fills up the cup we drank from today, said the city councilman Keith Young, one of two African-American members of the body in the measure chief prominent. Okay. As part of the resolution, city leaders in Asheville have also called on North Carolina and the federal government to provide funding for reparations. The resulting budgetary and pragmatic properties will include strategies to grow equity and generational wealth, closing the gaps in healthcare, education, employment, and pay, neighborhood safety, and fairness within criminal justice. I mean, I ain't can't lie.
Can I read the actual resolution?
Yes, ma'am. You said it's in my email also?
Yeah, I put in your email.
I'll pull it up while you read it.
Yeah, the city council of the city of Asheville. So they, at the beginning, they list, Black people disproportionately been forced to reside in certain areas. What is that feedback?
Me don't get wrong.
Because that's going to mess up your viewership.
Who? Come on.
Black students have experienced denial education. Black people historically receive inadequate health care. Okay, and then it's so on. So it's some other stuff. But now they're saying part of the resolution apologizes, make amends, participation in sanctioning enslavement of Black people, apologizes for segregation, apologizing for urban renewal programs, call on other organizations and institutions in Asheville that have advanced and benefited from racial inequality to join the city in its apologies, and invites them to address racism within their own structure and programs, and to work with the city to more comprehensively address systematic racism. Calls on the state of North Carolina and the federal government to initiate policy making and provide funding for reparations at the state and national levels. Direct city manager to establish process within the next year to develop short, medium, long-term recommendations to specifically address creation of generational wealth and to boost economic mobility and opportunity in the Black community. Fully supports its equity department staff. Its works encourages the city to utilize their talents when forming policy and programs that will establish creation of generational wealth, address reparations due to the Black community as mentioned above. Seek to establish within the next year a new commission empowered to make short, medium, and long-term recommendations that will make significant progress towards repairing the damage caused by public and private systemic racism. Other local government communities, organizations may also be invited to have representation on the commission. And city calls on the city manager to give a minimum and biannual update to the city council on the progress of work performed pursuant to this resolution. So there's a lot of apologies, a lot of programs. They want to invite specific institutions or organizations that benefited from racial inequality. So I think when you read the context, they want to invite people, like outside people, to sit on the commission, or people in different organizations, which would mean Black organizations. So we also, I think the people of Asheville, particularly the Black people there, they need to make sure that they have the right people representing them when they have these discussions about these programs and policies to be put in place. So that it's not specific, this is generalizing it. So they're trying to come up with policies and programs, but you have to have the right people at the table speaking for you.
So broad and ambiguous.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Dion, what's your thoughts on all of this so far? What's your thoughts, brother?
I have a couple different points I wanted to make. Because like when it comes to like the safety and health of our people, a lot of us don't even understand what it is to be healthy or what it is to be safe. And I'm talking about in terms of like the medical field. When we look at stuff like diabetes and cancer, that's an epidemic in our community. It's not being labeled as an epidemic, but it is an epidemic, especially with all the sugar and meat that's being processed in this country. We should be able to have some kind of a system set up for that. That's why I was talking to you guys about our own version of Sam's Club or something like that for us. But that was one of my concerns when I noticed because I did a brief, read over some of it briefly, and that was one of my concerns about it. When they talked about bridging the gap when it came to education, to me it's more than just bridging the gap. You have to re-educate the whole area, the whole country on stuff that has happened here in this country. That's one of the reasons why we're so sick. It's because it's not just the fact that we don't have the proper education in our schools. It's not just the fact that we don't have the proper books and resources, but it's also the fact that the schools that do have those resources and the schools that do have those proper books, though they're being taught information is not correct. So I think that's something that has to be addressed.
Mute up. I'm kicking y'all off the panel. If I gotta say it again.
That's Michelle, man. That's Michelle. That's her. That's Michelle.
Mute up.
I think that the North Carolina is like a first phase, but and there is ways like what you talked about before when you said shares of some of the stocks, shares in the stocks should be distributed amongst the people. I think that's a good case. But a lot of this stuff the funding is gonna have to come from a federal level. I mean, just like they printed off these checks for $2 trillion worth of money going out to the people. That's who it needs to come from. That's when I look at a lot of these comments when people talk about reparations. I hear a lot of, I'm just gonna put it out there, Caucasians or European Americans talking about their people didn't own slaves, whatever the case may be. When we talk about a systematic oppression, it wasn't just at a person to person level. It wasn't just on one plantation. It was the whole country. It was a federal thing that we had to focus on. So inviting the United States corporation itself into what's happening in North Carolina is a pretty good thing. I think that's a really good thing as well. But we have to focus on the fact that they use these word plays on us. Like one of the things we were talking about before was the minority. When the word minority, when they're talking about what they're going to be doing, we're going to help the minorities. We're going to help the minorities. You briefly spoke upon it before when you talked about the LGBT community. I don't know people. I'm sure you guys do know this, but the average person doesn't know that a white woman is a minority. So when you're talking about these programs have to be specific to us. Also, and one more final point before I let you guys go on to the next person. When you're looking at different things in history, like what did people do for the people? Hitler, when he came into power, he erased all college debt. My mom is 64 years old and she's still paying her college fees. She doesn't use her degree. She never used her degree. It was in communications. She was working in factories. So she still has to pay that type of stuff off. So when you're talking about that, that's one thing that definitely has to be incorporated. Tax relief, complete. We should be tax exempt completely. And when we're talking about reparations, think about this. First and foremost, it's not my place to tell the next man where to spend his money. It's not. You don't know what he's going to do or what his children are going to do. They may start some kind of company we never even thought of. They may do something we may never even thought of doing, but we won't know unless we give them the money and plant the seed. So that's the type of stuff that we can't focus on that type of stuff when it comes to what people are going to do with it. But when you look at reparations, we do understand that they have already given us examples of how to pay people out in reparations. We do understand that they've given us examples. So that being said, what the reparations that needs to be paid to us is unparalleled. So when we're talking about reparations, one generation, that's not even close to being enough. We got 400 years of this. 400 years. No, so therefore, and then I talked to you guys before about being a Compton. So this land was ours originally, period, point blank. So that's why I said rent, reparations plus rent. So being comfortable with speaking upon that and saying, hey, you need to pay us on every year annually, just like you pay them Native Americans. I know Native Americans that give $100,000 in their family, then they're getting this type of money, every couple of years, and they're just, whatever they're doing with it is their business, but they're not. But I feel and I know within me that if I personally had $1 million, just $1 million to work with, I could build an empire for me and mine. And that's just how I think of things. And I know that if we come from a people that were doing this on a regular basis, we didn't build one nation. We built many nations. It's in our DNA to build. So anybody saying something about being lazy, I have to reflect that. Block that off, because the bottom line is we have many examples of us doing that, including where we're sitting at right now.
Okay, well, Dion, I never said all. I said many. Okay, now, and here's just a scenario. BMT, you're in South Carolina.
Yes, I am.
Minimum wage in South Carolina is what, $7.25 an hour? $7.25 an hour. $7.25 an hour. $18,000 a year.
Where are you getting that? Where'd you pull that number from? That's not our real wage. It's higher than that.
$7.25 an hour. In Georgia, I believe it's even less. $8 an hour. Do the math on that. $18,000, $20,000 a year. What is it? What is handing somebody $1 million? That's giving somebody a lifetime of that salary plus some. What's giving people initiative to push forward, to succeed, to achieve? I'm not saying everybody. And the thing is, one thing when you do have money, sometimes money does motivate people. But in general, a lot of people don't. It's a security blanket. It's a security blanket. You know what I mean? So
bring also with that, when you have that, you got to also think about the education piece. Now, when it's like, hey, here's $1 million. You know what I mean? Okay, or we could do it where it's not just $1 million straight. It's in increments. You can get it within a year's time frame, and at the same time you're learning. So nobody's expecting us to be able to know exactly what to do with our stuff. But at the same time, it's our stuff.
You know what's going to happen with that? You know what's going to happen with that? Is you're going to have companies that are going to come up and give you loans against that, plus interest.
But see, that loan process right there needs to be. That's another thing. That's another area that has to be examined because predatory loans has happened. So that's a part of being protected. We should not have.
My thing was this. My biggest thing was like education, and that's what I will never
education should be a part of reparations.
But
any black person that graduates from high school should have free education. Part of reparations.
Let me show y'all.
Hold on.
Student loan debt should be wiped out.
My thing was this was instead of cash reparations was investing into the black universities. That's my thing.
No, it shouldn't be instead of. It should be included with.
Right.
Well, like I said,
and that is part of the reparations agenda.
Right. Why should it be instead of? No, cash payments. That's right. See, what the problem that I have with that stance is that it assumes that if you're making the minimum wage, it assumes that you're not a good money manager.
No,
that's the problem that I have.
I'm not saying that I have.
It makes a terrible assumption.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this: if I go from making $7.25 an hour minus taxes to $1 million in my pocket, what do you think is going to happen? You think I'm gonna get out of $1 million?
So wait, I have a question.
So let me break that apart. Let me hit that real quick. Let me talk about that. It's in my backyard state. A lot of people that make $7.25 an hour, and I'm pulling it up right here. This is South Carolina, $7.25. Majority of those people cannot afford any type of insurance or anything. Y'all understand? I'm not sure if y'all understand. You're barely living. You're barely living. And that's why they say it's not a livable wage. Because you can't make, and that's so when y'all talk about family, who can raise a family off of $7.25 an hour? Y'all know how much it costs for fucking you know how much it costs for Pampers? Pampers cost more than $7.25 an hour. So literally you worked an hour to barely make Pampers. A gallon of milk is $4 now. So I know very well about that type of lifestyle. I mean, let's just be honest. We're not making like these wages. Like I hate when people talk about back in the day. Well, guess what? Shit's been going up. And so, mind you, that's federal, no state minimum. So literally the federal, and mind you, I live in a red state, go figure. And literally people are more dirt poor than ever. Like this is not that. No wonder why people from the north are coming down south. It's cheaper. And people are like, oh, wait, that's not good, dude. That literally means that you're just going to a poorer area to live a lifestyle that you couldn't live in your area. That's all you're telling me. When people say I'm coming from the West Coast to the East Coast, congratulations. You left from being broke over there to coming over here, but you know that people are a lot more poor over here, so your money will stretch longer. Black people, sadly, have been crippled to no end where they've been starved out. So, I mean, bringing up about the minimum wage does not deflate the fact because some people, I've learned how to make $100 last a month. But you're not understanding that somebody is going to go without. This is where it comes to the health care. People can't get the health care that they want. This is, mind you, what did the Surgeon General says? Everybody knows the black people, they have the worst health care shit going on. Oh, wait, $7.25, who can afford the health care that they actually want? So you have to be on a system so that way you can get some type of decent health care or dental insurance or any kind of medication. God forbid you got dialysis. You might just croak over and die. This is shit that we've been continuously kept out of.
And let's
so I have a question.
Let's not forget though, if you make too much money, if you make $1 over whatever schedule of
kicked off
income they have, you cannot get any insurance, and your income can be so low that you still can't afford to take care of yourself.
Right. I had a girl literally raw that literally I offered her a position. You know, she said, Mr. Johnson, I cried because if I took that job, my baby would not be able to get Red Cross Blue Shield.
Shouldn't have had a kid then.
See?
Wow.
You see now, but
So I have a
folks,
question. I have a
that
question.
right there, folks, is part of the reason why Black America have such a hard time even coalescing around this idea about reparations, because we got too much of that.
I have a question.
How are you gonna say you shouldn't have had a kid? Like, did you?
Having children is a biological imperative, bro. That's biological. You're not going to tell human beings not to have children, but having children is the goddamn gaslight. That is the gas of life. Without it, there would be no life. At least not for humans.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. It's like you still have to understand that you have to be able to take care of people. You got to be able to take care of your family, bro. You don't just have kids and then cry. You ain't got this. You ain't got that. I ain't getting this. That's BS, bro.
That has nothing to do with reparations. That has nothing to do with reparations. That has nothing to do. So what you're saying is that, an irresponsible woman, an irresponsible Black woman, an irresponsible slave descendant shouldn't get shit because she's been irresponsible. No.
Well, wait, gentlemen. Wait.
But I mean, that's just from your point of view, though. Like, oh, go ahead, Honorable. I'm sorry.
So I think the problem, and I have a question, but I think the problem with the last statement, and again, in a lot of this, folks, we're assuming, we're reaching, and we're trying to project several years of effectiveness. It hasn't been 2 weeks since they put this out, so we're not gonna have everything perfect in something that just came out 2 weeks ago that's meant to, last for, what could be considered perpetuity. The second thing is that, with the previous statement about the healthcare, well, hold on. The second thing about the previous statement with the healthcare, I think it's a little disingenuous. We're assuming the woman is a single Black woman. What if she's married? What if they are working? And hey, what if they get a raise?
And let me just throw this in the honorable. Also mention, ever since COVID-19, all these people that are laid off lost their insurance, including myself. And there's nothing lazy about me.
Right.
So,
exactly. And so that's why I'm saying it's a little disingenuous. Again, we're assuming that previous example, well, that's like saying, well, Dana shouldn't have Dana shouldn't have had a kid, but if Dana's married, she's working, her husband's working, he gets a raise or they get a raise, and it puts them in an unfortunate tax bracket where they stand to lose. So basically, you're kind of painting.
But at the same time,
and let's say Dana has a kid, but Dana gets laid off and loses her insurance. You still want to punish the mother then?
Right. That's not
it's your fault, Dana.
Guys,
we're going off topic. We're going so off topic.
Go ahead, Michelle.
We're going so
I
off
think
topic.
he was right on topic.
So yeah. Well, I had.
Excuse me. Well, I was trying to say earlier this week, the consortium of mayors came up with a number of $151 million per person in order to pay reparations. It is a 6.3 gazillion package, but the numbers, people are crunching numbers. They're now crunching numbers to see how to fund it. But the long and short of it is the North Carolina project is a resolution to tell somebody else to go figure out the specifics.
Exactly.
Once you figure out the specifics, you have to then figure out how to fund it. And let me tell you one of the things that I know. This weekend, I'm changing topic in one sense. This weekend, I got to see how, for example, the city of Houston entered into a contract with we call it the Republican. the Texas Republicans call it Grand Old Party, Texas GOP. They entered into a contract where the Texas GOP agreed to pay them $500,000 plus some more amenities. But the number of cases got so high in Houston, the mayor said, we have to cancel this event. We cannot have all these people, we can't have 6,000 people coming into Houston from out of town that are obviously ready, willing, and able to take off their mask and breathe on people because they have privilege. So he said, we're exercising our rights under the force majeure clause. That's one of the things most Black people don't understand. Every contract has an out. I'm a lawyer. I draft every damn contract with an out. When the city did that, they sued them in the state court and the federal court. They went to a federal court and said, a Reagan appointee. And they say, Your Honor, they let the Black Lives Matter gather for George Floyd. The Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. The judge said, you're right. Forget what the city of Houston said do. I'm ordering an injunction right now. Do you realize it took over $100,000 in legal fees to deal with that one judge? I won't say the word cracker, but y'all know I'm thinking it. But that's one of the things that when we're talking about these city council resolutions, even if we get it passed, there's going to be a group of people that are ready, willing, and able to sue to strike it down. We have to be ready for those challenges. If we do get reparations passed, either on the city level, county level, state level, or federal level, someone will sue to block the implementation of this, and they will say it's a civil rights violation because white people were not included. That's the reality of reparations.
I mean,
that's part of it.
I wasn't included in the LGBT.
Right, but exactly,
reparations,
because that's part of it when you're talking about specifically getting reparations from corporations, insurance, life insurance, railroad corporations, banking corporations. Yeah, they most likely will sue when you specifically targeting someone, even wealthy families. So, but when you're talking about something from the federal government,
I said city.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. When they're saying that they want to set up commissions, and that's what I'm saying, that we have to do let's just take Asheville. The people of Asheville has to make sure who's sitting at that table. Dana. You're not listening to what I'm saying. It does not. All right, stop interrupting me and let me speak. Because this is what I'm saying. When you have a commission,
one at a time.
I can do it in 1 second. Or commission made up of people from different organizations. Let's just take the NAACP, for instance. They have legal representations. Black people, we have so many different organizations that have legal representation. There are specifically legal organizations that handle stuff like this. But we need to make sure that those type of people are part of the commission, are sitting at the table. But Black people are so busy either being pessimistic or thinking that we don't deserve it, or just not being organized. So yes, you're right. There are going to be entities that's going to strike back and sue, and they have the money to do it. But you better believe Black people, yes, we do have lawyers. We do have organizations to strike back as well. So that's not Dana, even an excuse. Like, yeah, it's a fight, but you got to be in it to win it.
Dana, if I sit up there and say, 1 week of litigation was $100,000. $100,000 1 week so far. It's been over $100,000. That at the end of the day, the NAACP, I know the budgets of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Most lawyers, myself included, we sit up there and donate time. We donate our time, but the filing fees, I'm saying that we have to be prepared for a fight. And you're saying we already got lawyers in for a fight. If we've had lawyers in the United States black lawyers for well over 100 years. They have been fighting. That Thurgood Marshall set up the Legal Defense Fund, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and he had to fight to keep it focused only on the legal battles of Brown versus Board of Education. I've been in this game too long, Dana. What I'm saying is prepare. You're trying to tell me, no. It's pessimistic to say prepare.
No, I'm not saying that it's pessimistic. We all know we have to prepare. And what I'm saying, part of the problem is that majority of Black people are not preparing because they're so busy arguing with each other over tedious things. Yes,
exactly,
you have to prepare. You have to come organized. You have to come as one unit.
We're going to have to have right now. We're going to have to start preparing.
Let me just interject something
preparing
right here.
A defense fund.
And I will say this: yes, I'm very passionate when it comes to reparations. But and you have been a lawyer for a long time, and there's thousands and millions of other lawyers as well. And there's also hundreds and thousands of other people that have been putting their time in when it comes to studying, when it comes to drafting up reparations down to the dollar. Dr. Sandy Darity is one of them. He's an economist. So there's been people, lawyers who put the work in that could tell a lawyer, this is the kind of lawyer we need. This is how much money, the legal fees, that is what it's going to cost. So there are specialists, there are people who put the time and the effort in to study and understand reparation and what it takes, because it takes more than just a lawsuit. We're talking about a bill that has not even passed through the goddamn House yet, that HR 40, even a new one they did in the Senate. But when I'm saying with Black people, we're the ones that have to put fire and push that, not lawyers. Because before you could I hope we do get sued. Because you know why? You know what that means? That means we actually filed the fucking case to present. That means maybe a public policy was passed on a state level or a federal level. See, we're not even there yet for a lawsuit. We got to get shit passed on the state and the federal level. And that's what the fight is right now.
She has a point.
I'm going to say it one more time.
You can say it to the cows come home.
The city of
facts.
Okay,
well, you can't speak for all lawyers.
When the city of Houston, I'm not speaking for all lawyers. What I'm saying is, excuse me, I said $100,000 for 1 week of work. That, you can sit up there and say, I found a lawyer that do it for 100, he gonna do it on contingency. What I'm telling you is that as lawyers, we have rules we have to go by. The reason why you can call lawyers to your face turns blue and say, this mofo called me a nigger at work. You got a video of it? No, click. Because guess what? We have on affirmative action cases, understand there's a difference between a constitutional civil rights violation and a private company discriminating against you. The level of proof. And every lawyer has to sit up there, and we have to account for every 15 minutes worth of work. And we can sit up there and have a judge say, nope, strike
going
that.
down a rabbit hole.
I'm not going to pay.
Okay,
no, I'm not trying to go down a rabbit hole.
Have we gotten there yet in the show? Why are you talking about lawsuits when we don't even have no type of policy passing on a federal and state level?
So let me do this. This is something that we were holding back.
I said that one proposal that is up there is for $151 million per person. They are now going to spend another.
This was a council of mayors. First of all, that number don't even make any type of sense.
Yes,
I would love you to cite the sources on that.
Hold on, wait. Pause.
Sheila Jackson Lee. I'm sorry. One more time. Sheila Jackson Lee. I'm sorry, she a lawyer. But Sheila Jackson Lee is one of those. Kamala Harris, she a lawyer. But she didn't look at this and she says this is the best proposal she's seen. But now they have to figure out how to fund $151 million per person. That's the funding. They're at the funding stage.
Can we please not bring
I'm just saying.
Jackson is full of shit.
So let me go ahead and do this. Let me do this so I can break some of this stuff down. I want to first of all, we had it where my co-host Kai has already done an on the ground interview with can y'all mute up. God damn. Mute up. Literally, I had Kai Me and her talked about it when I was doing an interview in the South. She was in the North doing an interview. Kai, make sure, are you unmuted, Kai? Because that way you can help us do this, because you got to go confront these kind of things and get the viable questions asked. That way, don't waste people's time. Kai went and asked the first question, and I mean, like I said, I'm gonna go over on Patreon for a lot of people that want to know about this stuff. But one of the first questions I'm gonna play out for her that she said, and this is by the police chief of mayor of New York. She asked them make changes in whom should be responding to certain calls, have the appropriate person be the first responder. Conclusion: switch to fund community programs and outreach. All the questions that Kai and the mayor and the chief of New York Police talked about came out. I think you said later on they actually did it publicly and did it on the news. But I'm proud of Kai that she actually got to do the interview before they did it on TV. And actually now these are stuff being implemented. But you got to go face it head on and ask the question. So let me just play the first part for you. Let me see if I got it. Let me get it right.
What was missing from
Thank
the
you.
equation of truly keeping the community safe? Like the mayor was saying, for my entire 30 years in this industry, we've been using a model that hasn't been working in terms of how we're dealing with social issues in our minority community. So we're sending police officers into our communities to deal with homelessness, substance abuse, mental health issues, unhealthy family structures. And these officers are the first point of contacts to go into these situations and bring order out of chaos. And so it's been causing problems for my 3 decades in law enforcement. So we've got to figure out another model that works. And like the mayor's saying, we don't know exactly what this is going to look like, but we still have some conversations that we need to have with the members of this community. But after we have I'm certain that we're going to have a model that will allow for other professionals who have expertise in some of these areas where some of our members of our communities are challenged. They can help, and they can be point of contact. They can be the lead in addressing some of these issues, and not having police officers as the lead in sorting these things out. And here's another reason why.
So let's pause it right there. I do apologize. We'll clean it up as best we can. Me and Kai sat down and we talked about this stuff before she went into there. And Kai, you killed it. I'm so proud of you. Literally, again, like you're seeing right there, if it was too distorted, she was asking, and that was from the police chief who's been there for 30 plus years, Kai. Let me know if I'm off. And I can send the audio to a lot of y'all. This is going to be on our Patreon when we're going to talk about this. He says that they've been doing it for so long, but now they're looking at going to said professionals to when they get a say there's a child who's autistic. Shout out to my friend who has died. Police got called in. He was autistic. They shot him. They weren't qualified to deal with him. He was sitting down with no clothes on at his townhouse. He forgot his meds. But the officer freaked out, shot the man, and he died. What the chief just admitted was that we're not professionals in all these areas. But we may need to start looking at hiring the proper people to deal with this, and we escort or we work alongside with them to help constable these solutions. If I don't know how to handle the situation, maybe I need to go get the person who does. So in the police chief answering that, and I believe he came on the news later on that night and spoke about these same questions, that means that guess what? They're acknowledging that we have said issues that we've been actually doing. Mind you, we already know a lot of our boys have ADHD from medication that they've been putting on our children. A lot of these kids have autistic issues. A lot of our people have different stuff going on. So when these officers roll up on them and they get itchy trigger finger They freak out and said, "I feared for my life." We've all heard that bullshit line. So now we need to start letting them know, you're not qualified to making that presumptuous term. Like when they killed Elijah McClain, they gave him 500 milligrams of ketamine. None of them were certified to do that shit, but they took it upon themselves to.
Actually, they were.
Shit, they killed
Sorry.
him.
Yeah, they shouldn't have. They should know, but they were permitted to use it.
Right, but
they were permitted to use it.
Permitted, but then when they looked at, that's the thing about it. That's the thing about it, Kai. Here's the thing about it, and I'm gonna tell you right. And perfect. Let me know. I am CLS certified. So was perfect. You get what I'm saying? Perfect. What that says is that I know how to put in the IV, right? But my main job is to be an infantry soldier. My job, they started telling us to do? Staff sergeant, stop trying to put IVs in people. Y'all are not actually certified. You just know how to take a Band-Aid and put it on somebody.
Exactly.
We probably go through the class and get the stamp to say that we know about that. If you fall down and break your leg, I know how to do a splint. But me doing medical shit there on the spot, then all of a sudden you die, now that's on me.
That's a question of judgment. It's a question of judgment. Yeah.
Right. So I've had this talk with some of my.
Believe that?
Hang on, go ahead, but
do you believe that every police officer should be an EMT? An EMT. And in the richer areas of Texas, at least, all of the police officers are also EMTs.
Hell no, y'all. They are not EMTs.
Emergency medical technicians.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
I ain't never seen that. I don't know if I want a police officer.
Well, hold on. I have to challenge that to her.
I'm saying
credit.
which areas.
To her
I'm not
credit.
Trying to be funny, but if the rich people can get, if rich people can get police officers that are EMTs in places like Dalworthington Garden, South Lake, Texas, they're EMTs. These people have a median income of $500,000. So if a police officer comes to their house and their daughter is having an overdose, they're ready to deal with her.
Right.
But we don't have that in a lower income zip code.
Yeah, I find that to be plausible. And I mean, I think, again, if to kind of counter the statement, I wouldn't want a police officer to be an EMT. I don't think that's not a sensible statement. If someone's qualified and they have the ability to make sensible judgment when it counts on the line, then that's who you want. That's who you want amongst your ranks. You don't just want, he's a police officer, I don't want them to be that's not thinking with sound judgment ourselves.
But that's
why in the Army and the platoons are all equipped and
with a medic,
field medics.
Yes, we are given a medic.
We have medics.
Right. I know my lane. I know how far I can take it. The medic usually tells us to get the hell out the way. Don't touch them. Don't do nothing. Understand this. And in the medical field, you are consistently practicing and relearning and re-upping because medical is always changing. Can we agree on that? There are new ways and there are better ways. You only learn or took a 45 to an hour long class. There is no way in hell I want you to say, listen, you can visually see grandma down. Also, you might be able to, oh my God, what's wrong, Miss Dana? I fell on my back. Okay, let's try to, okay, don't move her. But if you move her, guess what? You just probably worsen the damage to the spine. Call the said professional on your doggone dashboard in your squad car, and you call them to remove her. Because if you move her from that car wreck, you possibly did more damage than good. The fire department will even tell you the same damn thing. Wait. They will tell the officers, stop. You're not qualified to do this.
But a competent officer who also may be, as an individual, a competent EMT, we can't just assume just because that person's primary role that they're serving the public in the capacity of a law enforcement officer, we can't assume that one of those same people haven't put the extra work in to also be a competent EMT. So a person in that position, that's like saying if I'm an officer, I can't put the extra work in to be a competent and effective EMT, although my primary job may be
and I think
law
that's
enforcement.
important.
That's
right.
not how it goes.
I got a question. So
That
how
is
many?
not how it goes. But what do you mean?
It's not how it
That doesn't
goes.
make sense.
And it shouldn't go that way.
That doesn't make sense.
Let's look at this. How many competent or qualified officers have come into a mental health situation and handled it like a said competent counselor or said therapist there on the spot?
There's no way to answer that question. If someone says they can, I will question the data.
There's no way to
source on
answer
that.
that.
Oh
There's
no,
way to answer
there
that
is.
question.
No, there was. Because in
And
Florida,
emergency-
no.
How?
In Florida, there was, y'all remember that statement with the brother that was literally there. He was a therapist. He was a counselor there with an autistic individual. He was already had the situation handled, laying there on the ground, calming down the patient. You know what the cop did? Shoot him. Right there on the
That's
right.
one. But listen, that's one statistic. So
But
if you're
that's
going to use, hold on. I'm sorry. If you're gonna use it,
an
right,
EMT is still not a sociologist.
if you're going to use that as a data point, then show me the rest of the data points that compare that 1, 2, or even 3 instances to instances that fit the question. Because other than that, you're pulling data out of the air and you're making it count for the 100% to say, oh well,
And
these 3
EMT
instances.
is not a sociologist.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Now, I'm glad you said that.
An EMT is not a sociologist.
An
EMT is not a psychologist.
Here's
An
the thing.
EMT is exactly what he is.
Okay. Now, here's the thing about it. If there's an issue going on in a home, who do they call for that? Who do the police call? Who do they call? A social worker, right?
They call it, yeah.
Okay. So how the hell can they call us? How the hell can they call
it?
No. They call a social worker. I trust and believe me. I've been there for many of them
I'm
on the ground stuff.
one more time. It depends on your socioeconomic demographic.
In Ohio, they don't. They call the police.
It depends on your socioeconomic. It depends on your socioeconomic status. That
In Ohio,
you
call the police.
are a child of, if someone who lives in my area, Dalworthington Gardens, if they
you have a cop in the chat right now saying that they don't get
either
they don't do that.
under-medicated or over-medicated.
In Ohio, they do.
I would.
Okay, let me say it one more time.
If you ask me, I would say
in Dalworthington Garden, you can call 911 and you will be sent out a police officer that is an emergency medical technician that is trained the same as an ambulance paramedic, but they also know how to use a stun gun.
I think it's
they will come into the home.
It ain't like that everywhere. It ain't like that everywhere.
No wonder why y'all getting shot in Texas.
It is not like that everywhere.
And that's what I'm saying. It's
and
not.
put you in an ambulance. Shit, y'all better stay boom.
It should be universal.
But BMT.
It's all going to come down to the initial call.
I'm saying it should be universal.
Let me play another question for y'all.
In Dalworthington, it don't matter.
So let me have this one right here.
It don't matter.
Let me have this next one
if
right here.
If I call and say my child is acting crazy,
let me play this next one right here. The next one was, but there's a lot that I'm going to go in more in depth with Kai about, but she did a real good job on this one. The next one, we can't go over everything for it. She said, how do you feel about citizens joining in with cops for policing? Does that sound something that cops are willing to do? Now, I believe in New Jersey, they have a civilian council where Dana's at, and the police don't even like them. They don't like them. I know there's another area seemed like anytime the civilians start getting involved with dealing with the cops, you have to go through so many mandated red tapes just to be around the cops to watch them do their job. But
it depends on how effective you are. We have citizens on patrol in my city, and it's no problem, none, because we went into the situation with actual talking to the officers, talking to the police chief, talking to the citizens, and it was like, okay, these are the rules for citizens on patrol. The citizens on patrol have a card that says citizens on patrol. They drive around, they report, the police come, they talk to the people. I mean, at some point in time, you have to understand that you get a lot more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
Michelle,
That if you have an area that you believe,
let me hit play for the next one.
I'm just telling you, I'm here.
I'm hit play.
Let me know
I
when I have to say something.
Yeah, go ahead, Kai. Go ahead, Kai.
All right. I just want to speak on. It was a couple questions you went by, right?
Right. Go ahead.
One of them, with the policing, the one you're on now is with the citizens being involved. They're all for it. There's a video on YouTube where there's a black man being arrested. He's resisting. He's bleeding with a knife in his hand. The cop turns to the people saying, "All right, just take it easy, y'all. On him, take it easy." And he turned and said, "Do y'all want to help?" And they helped. So I want to, I question too, what do the people think too? How do you feel about that? Some people are not going to want to step in, but I think there's a lot of people in the community that will, and that's part of helping policing your own community.
Right.
So they are for that. But it helps too with talking one at a time. T Black, you said you guys keep over talking each other. We can't hear you. I can't deal with that too tough. That's why I try to limit my whole, you know what I mean? I appreciate that.
I do apologize about that. I will definitely.
But the cops, okay. The cops, being EMTs, like T Black also said, there's very few. And that's regardless of any state, unless you can prove me otherwise, there's very few that have any of that necessary training. Some of them have it, but there's too much being put on the police. They're one person. And also Chief Eric Hawkins, who I spoke with, mentioned that most of the cases that go way off the roof with becoming very escalated and sometimes death usually occur when a cop was called, but someone else should have been, not the cop.
Right.
They can't handle it all, and we're losing people behind it, and that's just a fact.
That's what I would wanted to point out when I listened to your audio on that, Kai. That listen, y'all, just like Perfect know, and I know I could be a better medic than him. But one thing about it is, if that medic shows up on the ground and that person is down, guess what? We have no say so. Even with our ranks, we have to shut up and move out the way.
Can I expound on that, BMT?
Go ahead.
Because, and you would know this in the military, okay? Just what BMT was actually alluding to. In situations like that, it doesn't matter what the rank is. When it's a medical situation, it can be an E4. He can be a specialist. He can be a corporal. He can be a PFC, for God's sake. But if he's the only medic on the scene, a goddamn O3 ain't got nothing to say. A captain ain't got nothing to say. Unless that captain is a medic themselves.
Right.
That E3 can tell that O3 to sit the fuck down. Because they have more training, at least in that medical field, than the captain does.
And let me just also to add, I do know I've heard this before because I know someone who's a New York police officer, but no, actually it was another police officer from another state, but they were familiar with New York's training. New York is, especially New York City, their officers are trained the least. Like they have short minimum academy time, and it's more book protocol that they're reviewing, and not so much not so much hands-on training. So they have the worst and the short type of police officer training, and that is key. And that should definitely, instead of defunding, that should be part of police reform, better training.
Right.
Because
Obvious.
if you don't know how to handle yourself in a crisis, first thing you're going to do is just shoot or put your knee on someone's neck.
Or how about this? Because I know this it always comes down to money. How about I'm getting a lot of backup. How about have one of the partners be like a EMT or some of that nature? That way, that person would be the point person when they go handle a call and someone is mentally challenged or whatnot. That person, that partner, would be the one who would handle it, as opposed to putting two goddamn military minded people in a situation where it's mental.
Let me tell you this right now, and I'm
Can
gonna give
you
y'all
read Reggie's comment?
Yes.
Because he says
Reggie.
officers are sent to.
Okay, well, officers are sent to evaluate the situation and determine if the social worker or psychiatrist is needed. Thank you.
And then read his other one
That's the
too.
reason why I think a partner should be, I don't know, a social worker or a certified social or a certified EMT, whatever the case may be. That person every unit should have at least two people. One person should be of that mindset. I don't think local municipalities are going to pay for that. They're not going to pay for it.
Let me tell y'all something right now, and I'm gonna go.
Funding.
I'm gonna cut into something really for me. Me and Melissa got into it when I came back from overseas, and I had a PTSD breakdown. Now, granted, I was outside, I was panting, I was hot, I was angry. The cops showed up. They showed up, and literally, two of them draw their guns. They had their guns out. Now, this is in my yard. Luckily, thank God for the lieutenant. He said, "Stop." I seen him before at the VA with my wife. He called his wife, who was a VA therapist for a suicide line. She drove there in 20 minutes, came there, sat down with me on a bench in my yard and talked to me and literally walked me back in the house while Melissa went back to cooking dinner. Now, I could have been dead that day. You understand me? Luckily, they called a professional to talk to me. The other two guys had their guns already out, pointed at me. I'm in my yard. I'm just walking outside back and forth with a cigarette. But they already had it on a holster, and one already had it out. So it was already escalated, and I'm like, yo, are you going to shoot me? Just go ahead and pull the trigger. So luckily, the LT came there and said, stop. That's a veteran. Let me call my wife. She came, understood the situation. A lot of these people are not trained properly for these types of instances of these things happening. So guess what? The quickest way is figure it out with a bullet.
Why did they come there?
People's mind state. Well,
you know,
wait,
BMT,
why did they come in your house in the first place?
I want to say one thing.
No, they didn't come. They came to my yard because they heard me shouting, and somebody made. All they got to do is hear a call because I live in the neighborhood. They heard me shouting that I was sick of this shit, and somebody made. That's all it has to say. Sometimes it don't even be your call. It be a bystander that makes a call, and I'm telling you right now when people say, "Well, you should just comply." Tilt somebody down when somebody pulls a gun out and then say, oh, just go to compliant mode. You already have two guns drawn on you. So compliancy says, fuck you. So you gonna pull a gun on me in my yard and I got a black and mild and I got my fist clenched and I'm a big black man. I'm not backing down in my own fucking yard like I'm some dog and laying down. Fuck that. Not all the shit I've been through. And then I get it. She came outside screaming, saying, y'all stop. When you hear screaming and shit going on, people panic. because now they're like, what's going on? Babies are crying. I'm like, yo, y'all gonna do what y'all gonna do? Shoot me, her can shoot. So thank goodness the LT, somebody with experience came in and said, let's call somebody with professional sense.
This is why I don't agree with the whole tactics portion of the reparations.
Let me hop in real quick. I have to go. You know, I have that thing going.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead, Robbie. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying I'm about to go. You know, I got to get ready. We got that thing coming up.
Right.
So thank you, everybody, for having.
One gentleman said, I'm sorry.
Michelle.
I'm on my cell phone, so I can't read the name. I'm just
Can you
asking
mute
a
up?
question.
Y'all gonna have to mute Michelle. She gonna have to
Thanks, everybody that was on the panel. This was an interesting conversation, and I'll catch y'all later.
God damn it, Robbie. Shit. Okay, so go ahead.
No, but do you see what I'm saying though? Seriously, like she was just talking too. I understand you, Attorney Michelle, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
She like clearly was talking.
I was asking
Everybody, come on, it's grown. I thought.
The gentleman's name that made the suggestion to have EMTs with police, and I asked what was his name. Simple question.
I think that would have been. Cyber. But understand that. No, was that Cyber or was that?
Yeah, that was me. That
okay.
was me.
But the thing about it is, when we're talking about defunding, I think does not New York get paid the most for funding for their police department, and yet they do the most stop and frisk.
I don't think they have. It's not so much getting paid the most. They have the biggest budget. I think they have like $1 billion budget.
Why?
But now the mayor of New York is going to lay off 22,000. The mayor of New York is going to lay off 22,000 law enforcement employees so they could defund and use and push that money in social services, whatever the hell that is.
So you know what? I live right on the edge of New York City, right here between Ironbound and New York. I used to work on Wall Street. All it's going to take.
Oh my God, you're near me.
I can't. Yeah, I'm right here. So we know that all it's going to take in this area is for another terrorist-based attack post-COVID to happen. Watch them change their tune.
Mute up. You buy a motorcycle?
I'm telling you, that's Michelle, man. You're gonna have to mute her, man. When she's not talking, you have to mute her. She got a lot of background.
Go ahead.
All it's going to take is for another terrorist attack for the region to occur on a large scale. They're going to change their tune. That's why New York City has the largest one of the largest budgets for their police force, because most of their police force, most of that, they work hand in hand with New Jersey and a little bit with Connecticut, but a lot of that police force, those initiatives go into anti-terrorist functions. That's what they do. That's what they specialize in. So when they call themselves defunding that, watch what happens.
They're militarized, and that's the problem.
How much goddamn terrorists y'all got running through that damn bitch?
I mean because we have tunnels, we have major tunnels, major bridges. Can you mute your fucking phones? Major tunnels and bridges, and he's absolutely right. And I was wondering, why is the budget so big? Because of the terrorists, and it's like you're laying off people. He's not going to be reelected, Bloomberg. I don't know what he's doing. They have not laid out a plan or exactly where that money is going or not going. So it's a political shit show, basically.
Well, when you look at terrorism, when you're talking about terrorism, they're not identifying the terrorists. I mean, you look at these different shooters around the country. They're not even naming, European or white shooters. That a lot of the times now, you're looking at the news. Now I'm hearing that I'm just gonna be real with you. When I see a black person doing something, they have the picture up. They got everything up. They saying who this person was. When it's a white person, they
be a terrorist. That's a terrorist right there.
That's a terrorist.
They'll call a black person or Mexican dude a terrorist.
But what Honorable was alluding to, what he was saying, which was right, because after 9/11, it was so much, money and a whole bunch of changes that were going on, insecurity levels heightened because of 9/11. So no wonder, yeah, they got all this money, and it's like, okay, what are you doing with the money? Because you had stop and frisk, crime did go down, now it's shot back up, but you're laying off people. So what have you been doing with the money, and what do you plan on doing with the money with your so-called defunding? And then also, is that are you going to take people off the tunnels? Because I think that's more like Port Authority. I think some federal officers are there, but it's still, when you're talking about, are we opening ourselves up to another terrorist attack?
It's already
That,
happened.
It's
already happened. But the
right.
thing is, when you're looking at, well, you got to think about this.
Black Lives Matter is about to be.
When you think about like the police force, you got to understand this. How long do they train? 6 months?
Yeah, it's less than that with New York. It's horrible training.
Exactly. So my lady went to school for hair. She was in that program for a year, 2 years, 6 months. 6 months is a small amount of time.
I've trained longer than police officers in the IT field. I've trained longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But we're asking these police officers to be
Black Lives Matter is about to be labeled as a terrorist organization.
Well, here's
Black
the thing.
Lives Matter is about.
Well, here's the thing about it, and here's the thing about it, because like I said, I swear on everything. Kai's interview is gonna I'm gonna play the fuck out of that damn thing. But one of the issues is this. One, I'm sorry, as many times I drove through New York, them motherfuckers ain't trained for shit. Half of them can't even shoot damn 2 blocks in front of them, or even shoot down the curb. So I already know that damn shit. But we got to be honest. What the fuck is the point of you having a National Guard and a Coast Guard and you don't use them motherfuckers? So clearly you ain't using what you already got, but you still asking for more fucking money. But you ain't doing shit with the money that you already got. So you know what? You learn to start appreciating shit when I start taking shit away. But if you can't prove to me that literally that money is viably being used, if it's so much of a big deal.
Can everybody please
meet up? Don't worry. Like I said, the thing about it is this. I've seen them, and we've already seen the interview where literally the minority cops have literally said that they've been busting down on doing more stop and frisk on more impoverished areas than actual boroughs that actually have a lot of issues. But they're getting labeled to get fucked with. Now, this ain't something. This is from New York's finest out of their own mouths that they have literally brought up. So clearly, there's been a lot of misappropriating of the funds, but nobody wants to talk about that. I'm gonna tell you right now. Since I've been in the service, I was there to be defunded 5 fucking times. I've been defunded 5 times. Not one time did I ever say, "Oh man, what am I gonna do about it?" You don't want to know. You want to know why a lot of these guys are walking? Because they can't get away with the same shit that they were getting away with last year or the year before that. So now I'm holding your balls to the fire. And now that I got an attorney Kai, or I got a district attorney that ain't playing your fuck game, you don't like that. Because now I can hold you accountable. Let it be a black sheriff that fucks up. Oh, they're going to crucify that motherfucker real quick. But whenever one of these little Irish or whatever families that been part of the mafia, now they're the cops now, and now all of a sudden they looking out for their people, they get fucking in trouble. Now all of a sudden, oh, guess what? Y'all ain't gonna tell us what to do. Y'all saw what happened. We've been catching these cops and these people in authority lying over and over and over again. And now other countries are coming by and filming it. And what happened to the reporter from Australia? They took their shield and hit them and beat them and chase them down. Now the Australian government wants the New York Police Department to pay for that shit. We don't got money to be throwing away for these motherfuckers. But guess what? They lied about that. Or when they knocked that dude on the curb and his head was leaking, they lied about that. All 40 of them lied. So what that tells me is they're saying, fuck the law, we are the law. And when you get that high to where you think that you're untouchable, motherfucker, we got to get rid of you. That's saying that you don't care what happens to the people. So I mean, right now,
so you're for defunding the police?
Huh?
BMT, you're for defunding?
Oh shit, yeah. Oh shit!
Yeah,
Listen,
because the fuck, yo. Because I mean, and you're right. Police officers, they lie. They're trained to lie. They're trained to make up stuff. But defunding is not going to help it. You need complete reform. So it's like taking money away from them is really just going to make it worse.
See, here's the thing about that's why I said when it comes to defunding, that's why I said when I was in the service, what happened was they brought in people outsourced entities. They took the money from the infantry unit because we had policies, we had things going on with sexual harassment, rape, harboring opium overseas. We were cowboys, baby. We were doing all kind of crazy shit. So you know what they did? They brought in an outsourced entity. I'm like, who are these motherfucking pencil necks? Like likewise coming in there with damn fucking polo shirts and khakis, and now they're telling us what to do. And I mean,
that's part of reforming.
Now guess
what? You still got to pay those outside people, and I think that's a good idea. But that's reforming.
Right now, that's the money that they defunded it from went to them. Go ahead.
So can I say something real quick? And it's just an interjection. That's why I disagree. Sorry, my mask. Because it's Dunkin' Donuts. That's why I disagree with saying that black folks who's going to get reparations should be tax exempt. You do know that if a proportion of people aren't paying taxes, then we don't have any money for certain avenues and certain areas of critical infrastructure and services. And so policing this, these social people and these EMTs that we talk about, where's the money going to come from? So I don't necessarily agree with the reparations portion that, hey, yeah, we go tax free, especially when I'm paying taxes, So if I agree with redirecting that tax money in a reparations type of initiative, with a reparations type of initiative, but to go 100% tax free while we're talking about this aspect of policing, reform, fund redirection, we don't want to go down that route. It never turns out good.
Now I would want to ask you, Cyber. I would want to ask you, would it be wrong if part of our reparational bill is the only way you can police the black community is you have to be
black?
You have to have somebody from that area, from that community, policing. What y'all get what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out how to word it.
Well, I have family that's high level law enforcement, who served back in Vietnam. I myself, before choosing the sciences, wanted to ultimately be a judge and a police officer, but I took a different path. I agree. I think we have to have not only someone that's from the area, but we want to identify, as we say in IT, the best and the brightest. Someone who has a relationship. Excuse me for the train. I'm right by Penn Station. We want to have the best and the brightest. We don't want to have people from the street. And I'll be honest. I'll tell you, as a guy who is from the street, made it through all the bullshit and made it to be successful, who was about that life, real life, far away from that now. I can tell you what we don't want. You don't want a situation where we have people that are, just because they're black, they get to police the community. I can tell you tons of individuals made a lot of money working for the dope man who was on the police force, had a commendable military record, had a commendable policing record, but the Negro was working for the dope man, doing hits for the dope man, but he was black, but he was in the community, and he was a police officer. So we don't want a situation like that.
Especially where you're standing at right now in that city.
Yeah, and I like I said, I moved out here from Ohio, which I moved to the East Coast. But it's the same everywhere you go. I've done jail time. So, and like I said, forgive me for the win. And I still was able to make it. But these are realistic situations that when we're talking about these things here, these points are relevant. So we just can't have and say, well, because you're black, because you fit the description of being in the community, you get to do this, you get to do that. No, we literally want to go about the process of vetting people. Again, they're the best, they're the brightest. What is their intention? Do they have, the best intentions in mind? Do they have a track record of having, been thinking critically in situations? Are they able to teach others or lead others so that we can ramp up to that, type of standard? And then you want to deploy and employ those types of people. You know, you guys been in the military would agree, if we're in a wartime situation under fire, yeah, I can shoot, I can charge over the hill, but I may not be the person that you necessarily want to be in that bunker with who can't fucking think, especially when bullets are coming at us from the enemy. And the enemy's not going to say, oh, well, we're gonna lessen our assault because you got an ill-trained person. No, they're going to capture and or kill. So, we don't want to have a situation where we're just not thinking the long term. We're not thinking about the long term down the road. We really have to, really step through this, as we say in IT or programming, through an iterative process. And, it's not going to be a microwave process, but it's something that, like Dana said, we need to make sure we have the right people by our side, and those people need to be, invested. They need to have some skin in the game. They have to want to be there to say, okay, whether we're giving our time or whether we're paying for them, we need people that are going to be invested through every step of the iterative process until we have something that's ironed out, solid, and we're able to work with that. So
now I want to ask this, Kai. You asked the mayor in this you asked the mayor in this about because you spoke about the defunding and the executive order, which we all saw that go underway. And from there it says make changes in home and respond to certain calls, have appropriate. The next thing that came about, and we already spoke about the citizen, and then I think you went into how are things going with religious leaders. We've been seeing a lot of the religious leaders have a lot of say so over the community. Kai, what was your thoughts on when you brought up that question to them? But we know that they damn sure have a lot of say so over here, and I know Dana's atheist ass ain't damn well in church. We all know that. So what was their response to the religious leaders? Because we see that a lot of politicians and people with power, they go straight to the churches and the religious leaders rather than actually talk to the people. So, what was your thoughts on that when you had to deal with them talking about that?
All right, so yeah, they've been working with religious leaders currently. Probably shortly before I even talked to them about it, I saw that it was in place. So I ended up asking, how is it going basically from here moving forward? Chief Hawkins meets once a week with members of the clergy in different surrounding cities too. It's not just the capital of New York, so other people are coming in. I also attended a meeting with them as well, where they had them there. And what they're doing is, not to say too much, because some things they're working on, they need to just work on privately and do what they need to do. But what I will say is they're taking advantage of basically technology too for this. They're setting up databases for different reasons to help stay orderly and organized with their outreach to the community, as well as what are our issues, what is pressing. So it's really nice to have Chief Hawkins there and sitting in every week. He comes once a week, really sitting down talking with the people in the community, because I think we need to see more of that, because these are the people making the decisions. These are the people. He's the man overseeing the police, and as we know, there's a lot of police that are corrupt. Not all, but one too many is just too many. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you got our people's dying left and right. And if we really had the pictures up, it would just be all over. See, these are just ones we knew about. So that's where they're at with that. So they're doing pretty good with that. They said with the religious leaders stepping in. They're doing foot walk too. They're coming out to the communities. They're working on coming out and just walking through the neighborhoods, greeting people, speaking with them. Also having prayer, but specific prayer, like they said in the meeting, specific to the needs of the community. Sometimes we pray and we just do general prayers, and not to get too much in religion, but they want to be specific with the needs, with the deaths. They're going over where people have been killed, and they're like I feel like they're blessing the areas too, and asking for help from their higher power. And if you do believe and you do have a higher power, then you know how strong that is. That's stronger than man. So when I asked Mayor Catherine Sheehan, she did say that. She said she wants all hands on deck. She said yes. She said even if more religious leaders would like to come in and join, she's all for it.
Okay.
Dana spoke on something too, rather than saying defunding, reform is what I was trying to say. Dana hit on that. The mayor said it just like that. Like that's what they want. They kind of don't even want to hear. We keep saying defund, and it's like, well, we can't just take away from it. We're moving the money in the budget. Every from working in city government, I know that every budget has a code. And when you get into the police department, you're gonna have to move the budget from one code to another. You can't just get rid of it. It's like, okay, where is it going? But you still have to be able to afford to hire the police. You know what I mean? So that's part of that, and just giving it more into social programs, as well as the Citizens Review Board, which I think you mentioned to Dana too. So more power is coming to the people, they said. They're giving it to us now. We are going to be heard instead of unheard.
Real quick, what you just said. So the police department don't like civilian review board, so which is separate from the police department. They're actually suing the civilian review board here in New Jersey, the police department. And so now I know with the defunding, like civilian review boards anywhere, they're going to be totally against it. But right, and because even I know in Newark they're saying they're defunding, but they're moving it for social services. And the mayor of Newark, he's pretty much a good with transparency, with kind of like laying out specifics on where that money is going. Because if mayors like Mayor de Blasio of New York, you saying something, but you're not giving details, I have a problem with that. But yeah, I don't like that word defunding, because people could put all types of definitions under it. And it's like, whether you defunding or reforming, you have to tell us where that money is going. What are you implementing? What are you taking away? And I don't hear that. And somebody put that in the chat. Like, no one's not talking about an action plan, talking about the city officials.
But what about the fact that there's a lot of holes when it comes to the police department. When you think about what people are doing when they're retiring, even like people that have been reprimanded by the police themselves, they have a lot of money, a lot of funding. Did you know that the people when the police officers retired, they're making $100,000 a year? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay, so is defunding messing with? Is that messing with their pension? The defunding?
That's not something I'm talking about.
Okay.
So the defunding portion, I don't necessarily agree with defunding per se, but I think like she said before, the money needs to be switched around. It needs to go from these heavy pots that they got for their budgets, and switch that around to the education piece. I think that's something that definitely has to be done, because they're not being educated, but yet they're being compensated and rewarded for the things that they're doing.
Right. Yeah. No. You're absolutely right. And now they get like, they get raises every 6 months, every year, or you could test to be a sergeant, and if you could move up in the ranks, that's more money. But I want to, in New York, I read that in the officers, they had like a 400% increase in officers put in their retirement papers in, to the point to where the police department said no more officers can't retire. So they had to put a legal initiative to stop officers from retiring because officers was like, F it, y'all defunding. Again, we don't know what they're doing with the money, but I'm pretty sure those officers probably know what's going on. So they're like, I'm out of here. I'm retiring because what y'all doing, I guess, is not right. So the actual police force told them, okay, they cut off retirement, I guess, deadlines. Like nobody can't retire right now because they had so many applications. So it's really, it is, you know what, it's kind of messed up because shootings are going up. The mayor is just doing this for political purposes. So is the governor. But you're messing with people's lives, me, people in the community, and the police officers. But it does need to be some type of reform. So
why are they protected? Is my question. That's what I.
Who, the police?
Yeah, I mean they're so protected right now. Like say for instance, they make a mistake. You know what I mean? Like they should. Why is it a sovereign citizen can sue not only the courts, but they can actually sue that person who violated them. But yet a citizen of the United States cannot do that.
Right.
That's pretty easy to answer.
And so that's what I'm saying. So why don't they change that? So what is defunding? How is defunding helping with that? You know?
To me personally, I don't recommend the defunding process. I don't think that we should be defunding our police department. I think we need to, like you said, reform it, have the proper people in there. There should be a whole lot more black and brown and yellow, if you want to, police officers out there, a whole lot more than what we have. And then when it comes down to like those phone calls, when somebody calls 911 and as a dispatcher calls out to the police officer, says we have a whatever kind of man, they have a description of what kind of person they're looking for. So that should be the type of description of the person that's going to go find them too. I just think it's a little more healthier for the environment, for the whole situation. When you have somebody that looks like you coming to say, hey, look, this is what's going on. We got to complain to 2nd and 3rd. But if you don't have that, then you're gonna have racial tension all over the place because you don't have that balance.
Right.
Y'all remember that incident? I just want to say, y'all remember the incident where that cop was going around raping women in the black community? And
I heard of that.
And the thing about it, the story was my mama told me that one of the women went to the police department and told. Nobody believes her. And that officer did it for a while. Oh, he did it for a while, raping women. He just he finally got caught by the wrong one, but he thought he was going after prostitutes. And one of them actually, I think, was a nurse or something like that. And literally, but they finally got his ass. But it took too long.
Right.
You shouldn't have got that many bodies. But see, that's a problem. That literally, how do you go to a system that when you know what I'm saying, it's like, I can't win. And this is why I would rather feel comfortable that when I walk in that damn department, I want to be able to look over to the left and see either Dion or Perfect sitting in the other. Like when you go to the VA, there's a citizen desk sitting right there. That literally, if they ain't listening, well, guess what? I'm gonna walk over to the citizen department desk and I'm gonna talk to them. And I get it. That means they both have to sit down and both look at the case. So mute up, guys. So that means if your department ain't following through with what I'm paying you to do, if I go to them and they have to follow through and do it, that's your ass. That means we need to get your ass out of that seat because that means you ain't doing your job. But there should have been no reason that, and mind you, we've been catching cops selling dope, doing hits, putting charges on children. And I know people say it's only a smaller mark. Well, no shit. I know it's a smaller mark, but that's too many. That's too many. You're wasting my fucking money. So if y'all saying, and I like I said, I get defunding sounds bad, but if I can put it into the New Jersey Citizen Coalition, I'd rather pay them to want to take up the job and follow through with the case than motherfuckers who ain't gonna actually do right by me.
Yeah, but the police department is suing them, so it's not in effect yet, and they have the power.
Goddamn little
and that's what I'm saying. Is like it's so many.
Mute up, y'all.
It's so many sectors, and is you sure that's not you, BMC? It's so many sectors to the police department because the police department is powerful and they have the funding. So, okay, defunding it, they still have enough money to sue to delay the civilian review board. And that's what I'm saying. Like it has to be something like here's an example. So they're suing in New Jersey the civilian review board because they don't want it, right? So instead of defunding, and you're talking about reforming, how about you say, well, stop suing the civilian review board, let it go through, so we can have a civilian review board working with the police department so that the citizens can be heard. That's reform to me, right? Don't y'all agree with that? Like,
yeah, that is reform. I'm all for that.
I agree with all that.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you fit defunding into making sure we have a civilian review board? You see where I'm going with that? Is this like something?
Right.
And I think everyone, because everybody lives in different cities and different states. And I'm not focused on New York because first of all, New York is a big state. But if I lived there, those are questions I'll be asking. What are you doing with the money? Like I could ask that here because I know the political climate here. But you take a city like New York, the people there need to ask, well, what are you doing with the money? But people are so caught up in the headlines. Yeah, defund the police, they're racist, whatever. No, don't defund it. They're caught up in the headlines and not the specifics, like not, the action plan if there is one. So
can I respond to that?
Yes, sir.
And for the other thing. In terms of the police, and I'm going to say this, and I know whenever I say this, a lot of people don't like to hear this, and especially Black folks, they don't like to hear this. They just don't. But we need to really come to grips with what the purpose of the police department, what the purpose of law enforcement really is.
Keep your
law enforcement is the enforcement hand of white supremacy. Now I know we don't like to hear that. We don't like to tell ourselves that. We don't want to hear it, but it is. And so therefore, that's the reason why
your phone going in and out.
He's bored.
In the police, why it all sounds good and all that. Okay, the purpose of the police department, the purpose of law enforcement is not for law enforcement. It never has, and it never will be. It never will be. And unless and until we really come to grips with that, we're gonna always come back to this, these review boards, reform and all that. No, the police, the law enforcement is acting. They are doing exactly what they were intended to do. They're doing it. They were intended to do this, and they're going to continue to do it. And you know what? White America, they are willing to accept a few officers going over the line. They're willing to accept it. They're always going to tolerate it. America's always going to tolerate it. And I know Black folks, we don't want to hear that. That's a hard thing to hear, but it's fact. Okay. Now, when it comes to tax exemption, as a part of reparations, when I was in the Army, I had I think BMT probably would probably attest to this. If you know a CG, a corps general, basically the general of a post, basically, all right, and they have as much, if not more, power than governors. Okay, and I was good friends with one. And one of the things that in one of the conversations, one of the debates that he and I would have was about what could a base afford. And he said, Sergeant, look, any military post at any time have
your phone going in and out.
My God damn it. Well, hang on. Listen, I got to go do
millions of dollars at its disposal whenever they need it.
Okay. I have to go do
Wait, let me ask you one more question, BMT. Do we care that John Lewis died?
No, we don't.
Anybody?
I know it sounds. I'm sorry. I know it sounds harsh, but John Lewis.
Anybody on the panel? No.
Okay. No.
Yeah, I care. John Lewis. He was.
I care he died.
He retired
as a human being. I hope to God, but I'm just saying.
Getting into good trouble is not going to save us. getting into good trouble is not going to save us. I'm sorry.
His resume wasn't that good. His resume wasn't that good for us. So
I disagree with the police comment, but go ahead.
No, I'm just saying his resume.
What police comment do you disagree with?
Well, you made a very. I feel you made a very general, sweeping, erroneous comment by saying that the police, the function of the police is basically to be the right hand of white supremacy. That's you're reaching to another galaxy on that one.
Oh yes, no. Get it right. I said there, unless and until we come to grips with that, we're just walking around in circles here.
That's not true. I know.
We can have all the civilian police review boards all we want. White America, if they are willing to tolerate, they're willing to tolerate police brutality. They're willing to tolerate that because it's not happening to them, and they know it works in their behalf, on their behalf.
But the civilian review board works great, especially in communities.
The principle, the idea of it works. The idea of it,
you go to the civilian review board? Do you go down there?
But it ain't going to work because white America is not going to. They're not going to allow it to work.
Well, the police department, which you could say is part of white America in New Jersey, they're suing. But that's what I'm saying. So now that we are screaming Black Lives Matter, defund the police, okay, how about you drop the lawsuit and let the civilian review board pass through and work together with the police department? See, now is the mayors and the public officials, or are they pushing that? Or you just saying, I'm going to lay off 22,000 people and take money away?
This is why
they're not going to do it. See, all this talk, they're not going to do it. At the end of the day, they're not.
But see,
and I see your point perfectly, and that's where me and you arrive at the same point.
All of this deep,
because if they're not going to do those essential things,
they're not going to do it. I'm sorry, they're not going to do it. I mean, we can talk about it all we want. It all sounds.
They're in the process of it now.
I don't disagree with it. I really don't. I agree with all of that. But they're not going to do it. They're not going to cut off their doggone right hand that has been defending them and has been protecting them for us.
That has been funding their political campaigns.
Then you cut it off for them. Then take their hand and
because
back it off.
outside of the police union, the teachers union is the largest union in America, then the police union. So if they're contributing to your campaign, you're not going to tell them drop your lawsuit in New Jersey against the civilian review board. But if you're not going to do that, then damn you shout and defund the police. So which goes back to what Perfect Blackness saying. You talk a good game, but you're not going to do it.
I talk all the game, baby. I'll talk all the game. I'll talk all the game. That you know what? Every day I go to that school. Every day I go to that school board, that town council. I love pissing off that fat piggy, Miss Piggy White bitch. Every day she see my dreads come in there and sit on that damn table. And I kick up my feet on that damn thing. She like, Mr. Johnson, you came in today. You don't have to. Yep, I'm gonna come here every day, baby. And before you slam that gavel, you got to talk to me and ask me about what the fuck I want. So guess what, bitch? Until one of us die, and you got 25 plus years over me. So we're gonna see. You gonna hit that curb before I do. So guess what? Yep, y'all. I'm telling y'all, go for it. Listen, go for every goddamn chair. If it's the goddamn state, if it's the city council, if it's the goddamn waste disposal, I don't give a fuck. I just want to see a black face there. I don't give a shit what the fuck we do. As long as I see a black face there, that means I'm in. That's in my mind. It doesn't
necessarily mean you're in.
No.
That's part of our problem. That is part of the problem.
Here's the thing.
That's another part of the problem.
But here's the thing about it. For me to have got to where I was at, but you're right about that, Kyle. People endorse me. And I endorsed myself to get there. You get what I'm saying? So I had to put my face out there and endorse myself to get out there. Like my school teacher ran for governor. He didn't win, but for the fact that he put the presence out there to let them know that guess what? We're gonna keep trying. We're gonna keep showing up. One of y'all motherfuckers is gonna die soon enough.
Yeah, for the right one.
Let me say something real quick though. Like,
I'm gonna get that fucking chair.
I get what you're saying, man, but like the thing about it like this, man, like when I say we were tribal people, the people that became chiefs and stuff like that, there wasn't they campaigned for that. They earned that position from their acts and what they were doing out in the community. People didn't have to elect them. I was a student body president in high school. I didn't run for president. I didn't run it all. I didn't put my name in there. Literally, people came up and asked the teacher and said, "Hey, what does it take for you to be on the ballot?" They said you need 40 signatures. They got 35 in that classroom. I didn't even know they were doing this. They went out to the hallway, got 5 more. That I didn't even know. Then next, my name was on the ballot. I didn't even vote for myself, and I get voted class president. It literally comes from your actions. Now, when we're talking about the police, just going back just a little bit about the police, what he talked about, where police originally came from was the slave brigades. There's no disputing that. But now you push this to where we're at right now with where we're talking about not defunding the police, but actually having something like a citizens community board where we're checking these people. Yeah, that's a good thing. But you got to also think about this. That's what the internal affairs was for. That's what the FBI was for. So when he's talking about having black faces in those places, I would say I agree with you wholeheartedly, but it has to be a little bit more direct. And when I say direct, this means we have so much skin in the game. I want to make sure it's ADOS.
Now, Dion, what you saying that? Here's the thing about it. And this is why I said you got to make an imprint on those around you. And I believe the Black Brain Trust even talked about it when it comes to mentoring and training up your own. I've seen households where they tell their child, you're going to be a doctor and you're going to go to that hospital and you're going to work there and this is what you're going to do. And when that child gets there, guess what? You remember everything that we did to get you in there? Your cousin is coming up right behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Open up that door for him. So by the time you go there, guess what? You're seeing 5 of them in positions because they already set the line to do that. So I've already done squeezed out, goddamn squirted out 4 goddamn babies, thanks to black women. So guess what? Them little fuckers are gonna go out there and start doing shit at work. I don't care what the hell my children do, but damn it, y'all gonna see their face on something. I don't care. Either they're gonna be cutting grass, they're gonna be out there in some goddamn system. My babies, I only got 2 more I gotta push out. But goddamn it, my kid's gonna be somewhere, damn it. The Johnson name is gonna be heard somewhere. And y'all better pay
you ain't doing the pushing.
I squeezed them out, damn it. I squeezed them out.
Pleasure.
When you're talking about
y'all women body is for a man.
Yeah, that's all of that.
Our children.
You got it right the first time. Squirt.
Oh, here we go with that shit. Here we go with that
damn. You ain't push nothing.
Well, I pushed out the nut, so guess what? You carried it on.
Okay,
yeah, you busted
somewhere else. Then how you know you're gonna be able to make 2 more babies if she don't want it?
With all this,
what is this? I rebuke your spirit of talking back. That's the first thing.
If she thinks you don't want no more kids, you're not gonna be able to have any more kids.
See, that's well. Then guess what? You're replaced. Let me go ahead and bring in the next one.
I'll be replaced, but I'm taking the house.
You ain't taking shit.
Half your pension.
All right. Well, see, that's what I'm saying, boy. This is why men, y'all gonna take your ass to the VA because this kind of spirit right there. This is why the power be leaving the house.
I'm not gonna get into that.
Why you gonna take half of the power? Why you taking half the power?
Because you said you was please don't perfect blackness. Please don't.
Perfect. We'll say that one another talk. Perfect.
Real on.
We are so far now.
I believe for black men in America to not marry, date, get pregnant any black woman in America.
But you're married to a black woman, perfect blackness.
Let's not talk about that.
I knew I didn't want it.
I catch a lot of flack for that personally already.
You married a black woman.
Cyber, you amongst kinfolk here, buddy. You good?
Well, I mean, I catch a lot of flack because my love interest is stuck in China right now. So.
You all right? You're right.
Well, like I said, my black South African wife, she's pregnant. She just found out she's pregnant.
Congratulations! Another ADOS baby on the way. Another ADOS baby on the way.
And that comment.
And she is going to be a warrior. Absolutely. But Miss Dana, she had to step into that beehive. She taking half and all that other bullshit. Okay, that's different discussion.
Well, no. See, first of all, perfect blackness. You didn't catch what he said, or you just didn't care. He said he was leaving. Oh, you just going to up and leave me high and dry? I don't think so. I didn't say I was leaving.
The power.
No, I didn't know that.
I already gave you 2 babies.
I will say that I would. That must have been something that I did step away. from my
Yeah, he
students.
said he would leave because I won't pop out 2 more babies, and I already gave him
you will honor the goddamn legacy and push out. There's a contract. Just believe there's a contract. I gotta do the work. I gotta do the work. But see, that's the stoicism of being a ADOS man. I understand the work is never done in the field. These women, they don't want to cooperate and get out there and pick the yams and okra with us all the time. But it's okay. What you won't do, somebody gonna come out there. I like okra and yams too. But see,
I'll look it up.
Okay, so if y'all women ain't one, every woman should be pushing out at least 6 babies at most. 6 babies.
Oh man, hell no.
All right, you tripping.
I'm already
no. He's right.
Yeah, in a stable household, you men always running off somewhere.
They
That's
don't
the crazy
understand how
part.
far back we are. They don't know how far back we are, man. I'm sorry, but that's just it is what it is. How far back we are. So I'm sorry that hey.
Does this come with a nanny?
Nanny.
Come with a nanny.
It's 6 kids you want me to run after.
You take care of my children. Take care of my children. You cook, clean.
6 babies. You want me to take care of 6 babies?
Take care of my children. Cook, clean, and make sure your ass stay in the bedroom when I get there. So I don't hear all that lit. That's your problem now.
Years ago, we had larger families, twice that size, but we always had both parents in the household. We had better. Everybody knew what their sexuality more. All that it seemed to be way different then.
Lord have mercy.
And it shouldn't be that far-fetched, though. It really shouldn't be that far-fetched, right?
These women asking for a whole goddamn stimulus check just for pushing out a baby.
No, it's not these women. Some women.
Some women, Dana, asking for a whole stimulus check. I mean, at this point, Dana, do you want a check written for you when you're on the damn delivery table? Do you want a check written for you or something?
First of all, the baby's got to be provided for. And the way the economy is and the way society is now, it's expensive to raise a child. So I want to check before, during, after. Yeah, like you have to be. And Perfect Blackness up here talking about
married.
If I stay 6 and all, you have your first child on the way. And it's a beautiful thing that you're about to experience. As soon as you have your first, you may have another one, and you yourself are going to be like, okay, I'm good.
This will be my second.
It's gonna be a girl, boy. It's gonna be a girl, boy. It's gonna be a girl.
I don't know yet. I don't know that. We haven't gotten that far yet. We just found out literally yesterday that she's pregnant.
Congratulations.
You want to have a third one?
We're talking about having more. Yes.
You need a boy. You just get a boy. If you can get a boy, we made it, bro.
I'm hoping for a boy. I got a girl. I have an 8-year-old girl.
Boy,
I'm hoping.
I encourage
for a boy.
blacks. We just need to pop out a bunch of babies, man. Fucking take back over the world, bro.
I decided to wait. Like I said, once my
you should. A man should wait. Yes.
Once they open the country back up, and my fiance comes back from China, you know, the plan is to get married, and you know, she wants a child, and so something that I've said, you know, because I'll be 42 next year, but I had said I said before I had turned 37, I remember I said, you know, man, I'm traveling the world. I'm doing all this other stuff with this computer crap. I'm successful. If I don't get married by the time that I'm 37, this was years ago, you know, I'm not gonna have any children if I'm not married by the time I'm 37. And so when 37 came, I was like, okay, I'm looking high, low, looking for, you know, wife somewhere. Didn't find one, so you know, I was just like, okay. Then, you know, I had a relationship, I think around the 38ish, the 39s, somebody from France or whatever, that I thought I would marry. And, you know, it was kind of the deal breaker. She was like, oh, well, you know, you want to have kids? And at the time I was like, you know, like I kind of feel beyond that point. And I was like, so I kind of stayed away, you know, from women that I knew would ask me for a child once we got married. But then, you know, once I met the woman that I met, that I'm with now, you know, she was like, well, I want to have the children. And I was just like, okay. So, you know, I'm
see how men can take their time and wait.
Yeah,
like my son is 20. He ain't thinking about no kids, but I told him, I said, you have all the time in the world, and he does.
And that's
women ain't got no time. You only got so much time. You got a time gap for y'all, and that's why we got.
I always counsel men. I always tell men and I counsel these boys too. For the boys that I counsel, say, look, you shouldn't be looking for marriage and kids and anything until you get 30 plus at least, because you need your time to stack your money, get solidified in your career, not a job, a career where you have built yourself up, went to school, or whatever the case may be. You've got yourself solidified in a career where you can bring on a woman and give her, and plant some seeds and take care of her. But don't do it before. You do it before, you're going to have problems. So you're at the right age, bro. I'm 45. I'm finna have my second. I had my first when I was in my mid-30s. Trust me, it's better that way, because you're better take care of your child and your wife much better. She wouldn't have to work. My wife don't have to work. She ain't working now.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have to work.
Melissa don't
know
do
shit. And when my child is on my insurance, and when that baby pop out, that baby gonna be on my insurance.
I want to.
They don't have to worry about nothing.
I just want me.
So
I just
you would
want
be in a better position to
around.
take care of your family if you hold yourself off, get into your mid-30s, and have your children. Now, I will say this: when you get to that part, don't be looking for no mid-30s woman. You need to go somewhere down in mid-20s,
so lovely.
21, 25 below. That's
I just I love.
I encourage women in their 20s.
Everybody has their own journey too.
But yeah,
everybody has their own journey. There's no blueprint.
Women need to explore
all that extra stuff, right? But don't be old as hell having kids either.
Yeah, we don't
Don't be old as hell having kids either. Just because you can produce kids, you got to have that stamina right for those kids. That's not cute. Just because y'all could bust out this sperm and nut in somebody's egg. Keep in mind your age, your stamina for your child. If we're thinking more about the children too, and what they could benefit from us, and it's not just financial, you're not going to tell people to wait till they're old. That is not a good idea, I don't think. To an extent, I agree with you. Can I finish? To an extent, I agree with you. But a lot of that is just you going off of your lateness. You can't just tell every other man you have to wait or it's going to be hard. It could be harder. It could be a higher stress level, but you don't know what's going on with them. Some people met their soulmate early and they know it. That's part of it right there.
Yeah.
The other part is we shack up too much. Everybody's sleeping. You know what I'm saying? So your reproductive organ, you can get pregnant and not have it planned all the time. Right. No, but y'all gotta think about it too. Have that stamina right, not just for sex, for them kids that y'all bringing in here like Natalie.
You know what she just said?
No, I've been quiet. I've been quiet. Let y'all talk for straight hours every time.
That's my BMT wifey right there, boy.
You know what she just said? That part she just said. That is the reason. That is she basically just. I appreciate you for that. That's the reason why I said why I gave myself at a particular age range, because like I got older brothers and one of my brothers got like 7 kids, so I've been raising.
He better have a job.
Well, they much older than me, but I've been dealing with kids. I've been dealing with kids since I was 7 years old. My nieces and nephews. My grandma lived to be 106, and that's what she just said. Is one of the reasons why I said I have an age cutoff unless I find a woman who she just got the juice like that when our energy connects, if she asks me for a child, something about that woman's energy is going to transfer into me. And I'm gonna be like, you know what? Before, like she said, that it's about patience with kids too. And it's just like, you know what? I can have the money, I can have the resources, whatever. But I calculated, I'm like at 40 years old having kids, just me, my kid turns 20, I'm gonna be in my 60s, Lord willing, if I'm still living. So I wanna, like she said, I wanna have some patience and tolerance, energy for my children. But no, I appreciate you, Keith, for saying that. Because that was my factor. But lucky for me, like I said, I met a woman that I feel her aura just was like, okay, it made me feel good and changed my mind about having at least a child.
Hopefully that's genuine what you feel.
Right. And the only thing I'm saying is the same way men.
You talking overseas?
Wait a minute.
I caught that part.
The same way men, y'all need time to mature and gather up your career and your money. That's great. So do women. I don't never recommend for women in her 20s to sit up here and especially 25, 22 to get married and have babies or whatever because you didn't do anything. You didn't start making your own money or figuring out who you are, finding out what you love to do, building your own career. You didn't develop patience. It's so much opportunity out here for men and women. You should definitely take advantage of that. I don't feed into when they say, well, you have to have a baby before you're 35. No, you do not. Now, should you have a baby before 45? Yeah, that's because you don't want to be running around with no little kids. But women need that. Women need time as well to mature, to explore, and to find their happiness because it's not that man's responsibility to make her happy and vice versa. So it's always a stereotype to where, like my son, yeah, I tell him, yes, you have all the time in the world. He does. Women, technically, we don't, but we still have some time. We still have time. And always, people always say, oh, you have to have kids and get married in your 20s. No, you don't. And especially the 20-year-olds today, definitely not.
So let me do this because I know I gotta wrap it up. Listen.
Oh wow. Okay.
I gotta wrap it up. I gotta wrap it up. You know what I'm saying? I do want 2 more babies, and I know who's gonna give it to me. They ain't getting out of the fucking goddamn plan. But I want to definitely say this. Why you gonna send me booty pictures, dog? So I hate y'all.
Why you try to do a show? Who was it? Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, whatever.
So, they already don't judge my friends. You know they weird.
I won't. I judge myself. That's it.
You gonna do this now on the show?
And stay away from the rest.
On the show. On the show. Come on.
Sorry.
Team.
We are. But when the feathers get a little ruffled, it's hard to like switch them back down. We almost 3 hours in.
Team BMT, don't do this now.
That's okay.
I already
have a Dana. Dana sitting right there.
I got talked over.
Dion, you good? You good? All right, then we good then. We good then. How about that?
No. Go back to mute, Dana. We already know you.
Said a whole dissertation on
I know
how
Dana
men
good.
to take their time. So
yeah, that's right. Because it ain't my fault that the sexual market value is completely different for men.
No, don't say that.
It ain't my fault.
Don't say that.
They can wait until they goddamn mid-30s, and then that's why you got so many Spencers out there looking around why they can't find a man in their goddamn mid-30s. That ain't my fault. I didn't make the rules. I'm so sorry.
All right.
Look here, like
it's not even a rule though.
What makes you think women are desperate in their 30s?
It's not my fault that is that way.
Because that's how he views. He wants to view black women a certain way. That's something.
Yeah, like first she don't have to marry and have babies with a black man. So maybe it is hard for her to find a decent black male. I don't know. I'm not saying that. But women are not desperate in their 30s.
Have a goddamn baby.
Women
if you good, why you so hype? You good, right? Why you so hype?
Your wife, she's in her 20s.
You supposed to be good.
I'm just saying.
That's how you could tell. That's how you could tell.
Give me 2 more babies and I'll be good. That's all I need. 2 more babies.
Why don't you bring your wife in a room and ask her that right now?
I've been asked her. She keep turning me down.
Exactly.
And you ain't gonna never find her.
Where she don't worry. Where one turn me down, don't worry. There will be others. So,
yeah, right.
All right.
Messy Jesse.
Whatever.
I
already own my truth. I earned my truth. So shit. Fellas, don't make what you can't take care of. Don't make what you can't take care of. So,
I totally agree with that.
Don't make what you
can't take care of. Perfect Blackness did say that.
Yep.
He definitely said that. I agree with some of
these. Agree with that.
So you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? Monday.
Don't have no intention on taking care of.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow, Monday, we're gonna have that man talk. I'm gonna get all the brothers here. Dion, if you want to come along for that ride, we're gonna have to talk about black men and wanting babies and families. And we're gonna ask, is that what these women want? Which we need to know. Don't worry, I'll send it out to Dana. Dana want to.
Kai and Dana.
No,
I'm joking. Dana know how to discuss. Dana gonna discuss. I'm gonna be chilling somewhere listening.
Dana gonna be on that bullshit Jada Pickett shit where I can be entanglement when I.
I have a whole lot of entanglements. You're damn right.
I wish to God you would have an entanglement with my child in the backseat.
Oh, you don't.
Please leave the Smiths alone.
Out of wedlock, out of this marriage.
Slice that.
So I need to have 2 entanglements because you don't made two babies out of the marriage.
I see damn well we need to take your car keys when I go to work because you don't need to go nowhere.
I call it Uber.
Can we request a gender?
That is fine. So we will have that. I will set it up with the family to have the conversation. You wouldn't be there for that. That's going to be a good one. But we need to know. But right now we got some brothers who are starting their families.
You said the brothers, right?
Yeah, and the sisters. Y'all need to be there too. Because I don't want y'all to think.
I thought you were saying though the brothers' point of view of them wanting babies.
Yeah,
that's what I thought you were saying.
We're gonna also ask the sisters.
Hold on, perfect.
But we also want to ask the sisters, do y'all want a family? And what's y'all viewpoint of when y'all want a family? Do y'all want them when y'all are teenagers or when y'all in y'all 20s and 30s? Because we're starting to hear a lot of the men are starting to hold back. Like I had mine in my 20s. You understand me? But for me, before a lot of guys nowadays, that's improbable now because of the economy and the generational gap. You get me? So I had it pretty hard.
Not a lot of people make
BMT.
Not a lot of people make a good point. Yes,
definitely
go ahead.
a good discussion.
Can I?
Yes,
so
yes,
I think to that last point, and I don't speak for all women, especially these 2 lovely ladies on the panel here.
I speak for Dana,
but
nobody speaks for me.
I think me knowing women, I think for some women, and correct me, ladies, if I'm wrong, I think the answer to that question isn't so necessarily black and white, because I think if you truly ask a woman, I think that answer is going to depend on the situation that she's in. I mean, I can say most women, if you ask them that, their hope, right? Their hope or their expectation that determines that is probably going to be if they can just assess that the guy that they have in the moment that they're with that gentleman, if he is someone that they hope, feel, and believe is going to be around, of course, they're naturally going to want to have a family. But I mean, if you're someone that's questionable, that they don't necessarily know if you're going to be around, and they're not acting out of a false sense of desperation, thinking like, okay, if I have a baby with this person, I hope that guarantees or ensures he's going to be around, But no, I think that question is different for a lot of women, depending on whether or not they believe the man that they're dealing with is going to be 1,000 enough,
right?
Where they're going to feel comfortable to go into that phase, which could occur at any time. And I would say, if a woman could determine, scan up, down, okay, you're good. Yeah, that's gonna be an easy decision for them.
That's really exactly what it is, especially with a lot of women now. And you can't blame them for that. But see, and men feel that way too. And honestly, you really don't know. You at the end of the day, you really don't know what the future holds with you and that person, because that person could tell you anything to make you believe it. They have to show it, and they could show it in the beginning and maybe switch up because the babies always stay with the mom. A lot of things can happen in life. The only thing I'm saying is, because people get married and people get divorced. The only thing I'm saying is the women, I always want women to, if anything were to happen, you're still able to take care of yourself financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And for you to have all those sectors going on, you have to have time to grow into yourself. And when you rush it and rush to have kids and rush into a marriage, you don't have time to grow into that. And I'm saying that from experience. So yeah.
So like I said, and I always tell people, for any man that feel bold enough to impregnate my daughter, I'm just letting you know. See this?
Oh my God.
See this right here? We're going right there to the church. Don't ask no questions, son.
As you should.
And I dare your ass.
Are you taking that with you to the church?
I will be right there in the church.
Show him, Joe.
I will be right there in the church with this.
We need to have more of that.
I wish to God you would back out. Back on out of that. I wish to God you say, you won't get cold feet with me. You won't get cold feet with me, son. They say, do you?
I hear you.
Choose cleanly. Choose ye this day. Are we having a funeral? Or are we having a wedding? Go on, baby. Walk up there. Come on. I'll teach you.
What if your daughter
That look like the busy bone musket.
She ain't gonna listen. Shit. She gonna ride up there with the man that got her. As soon as he said, "Do you?" Go ahead, son.
Oh my God.
Go right up there. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. I'll be right there. I'll be right there.
This won't be monetized.
They won't be monetized. That wedding won't be monetized. It will probably be a wedding or funeral. He will choose that day. He can bring a daddy or grandma. I will sit right there. We'll sit right there. I'll be right there, dancing with my baby with the shotgun. You look beautiful, baby.
What is
I have no problem with that.
I respect that.
We go back to this. I promise you.
Yeah, we need more.
It will go down.
Yeah,
it will go down.
Yeah, I respect that.
We're not going to rebuild the nation. We're not going to rebuild the nation with a bunch of goddamn individuals. We need families.
Don't worry. Call me for y'all weddings if y'all need any help. I promise you, I'll make sure that
my daughter eloped, so
you ain't gonna need shit.
We didn't have to say so.
Go. Don't worry. I'll be right there. I'll be right there at your car when you get out.
007.
Who the hell is that nigga?
007. That's why I know I'm on the right channel.
Who's that nigga that you get in the car with? Daddy.
007.
You walked in the wrong car, son. You better get out that car, baby. I promise you, prom night won't be the same way. Date night, every night.
That also means other things too that I know that that a lot of women is not going to like. But I agree with you, BMT.
My daughters, they might hate me, but they know damn it one thing about it: Daddy was always there. So don't worry. You can cry. You can cry, and Daddy.
They hate you when they're young, and they'll love you later.
Don't worry. Exactly. You're right. So when they tell that boy, listen, I know you like me. I just want you to know I got a crazy daddy. I ain't worried about that old nigga. Okay. Bring him on.
When the young part. Well, in any event, we're not going to rebuild the community without families.
Don't worry. We will rebuild it, but don't worry.
You cannot do it without families.
We're going to have to just shave a few people off, but don't worry. We'll rebuild it. I promise you, Dana, when your son ready to go to that altar, I'll be right there for him. I'll be there for a lot of y'all children. We'll make sure that there ain't gonna be no no's. I dare that man to run out on my baby and leave her with that child. Don't worry.
Only if it's a no at my son, it'd probably be me objecting to who he marry.
Dana, sit down. Let them be.
But he already know, honey. He ain't put no ring on nobody unless I approve the final approval.
I guess ain't nobody gonna get to that offer.
No, he gonna get married. Gotta create a legacy. But you ain't gonna marry just anybody.
So other than that, you guys, much love to the panel. Honorable, please come back. I know you had a good time. I hope you had a good time. Dion, you already know this is what we do on the Sundays. Dana, of course.
Are you gonna come back, Dion? And Kai?
I would love to come back. I would love to come back.
Honorable.
I told you about doing that femininity.
What? Are y'all three gonna come back?
No, yeah, I call myself the kind of a drifter in the YouTube universe. I'm a little bit of everywhere, but no, definitely.
Because sometimes blackness run people off, so that's why I was asking.
I'm
in peace.
Joe made me one of the co-hosts, so I ain't running.
I'm a voice that.
I hope I don't run nobody away. I come in peace.
From nobody, no other co-hosts, nobody. But we a team.
No, this was great. No, this was.
But I do have standards.
I really appreciate BMT and crew for extending the invitation. I'm a voice here on YouTube. I may contend against many people when I hear the foolishness out there. So no, if I'm welcome back, and the door is open, sometimes you'll see me come through the door.
You can always come over. You can always come over and sit down and take off your sandals and always have a good time with us. And
I appreciate it. Much
obliged. I'm cool. I always keep Dan, my co-host. They hard on me. Dion, he was voted back in. Perfect don't give a shit. He always come through. So, you know what I'm saying? Me, I'm just here. I don't know how everybody think that I'm an asshole or I'm a bad guy, but shit, I guess I'll be that guy.
Ooh.
But they think
It's
you
You can't listen to them. Somebody always gonna have something to say. That's
They
why when
always
I was
got
even
something
thinking
to say.
about, and that shirt fits you just right. That's why when I was thinking about all of that, people try to discredit you sometime. That comes with your rise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta watch that. Sometimes some of your own will do it too, but you gotta weed all that out. You gotta weed all that out.
We gonna build.
You
We
on your
gonna
come
build.
up.
We gonna
You
build.
already building.
So, like I said,
Can I just say too, shout out to Jonathan Phillips, because I know you're about to wrap it up, and
yes,
I
ma'am.
get to like say a couple things.
Wrap it
But
up there. Go ahead.
he even mentioned who?
No, go ahead. You rocking. You got the mic.
Hi.
You look pretty. You look
All
pretty.
right. Jonathan Phillips mentioned Governor Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo's running for president. No, he's not. He keeps saying he won't. Do we wish he would? Yeah, he would be a great candidate. I think we have the best state in this whole country. We have dealt with so much, and even during this pandemic, brutality, deaths, there's just been so much that it's been crazy. Also, woman of the past that's in the chat. She enjoyed hearing the religious aspects that have to do with what we're changing in the community policing. So I did want to say that. Perfect Black was okay. That was something from earlier. He just was he was saying they're still not going to care about police brutality. We had Super Mike in the chat saying, he was tired of hearing that because he just kept saying no, no, no. I understand both parts. Things haven't worked for us in the past. There's some people that don't believe that the change is going to have the results that we're looking for. I get it, but at the same time, let's live it. We have to get through it. We can't give an answer until we actually have gotten through it. I know how this country has treated us, but we are making a difference. So we don't want to become, not saying he's a naysayer, but we don't want to become that. We don't want to have solutions and already cancel them out before they were able to be played out. That's why I like hearing you guys come on here, but I like hearing about solutions because I already know there's problems everywhere that could be endless. So let's talk about solutions and try to get some more of that stuff together. The day after I met with the mayor and the police chief, Sheehan and Chief Hawkins, the next day they mentioned about the 50A getting through. So no more chokehold is being allowed. For some reason, chokehold was used 2 more times on video locally near my hometowns. So we still have a ways to go, but we are making a difference, and I'm seeing some of the change. So if you guys can at least accept that, see that change is coming and feel it, come together more and discuss things. I don't know why I'm looking down so much. That's how you come together and make a change. So many of you guys have different ideas that I haven't even heard today. I mean, that I haven't heard of until today, and we appreciate that. And there was a lot of you in the chat and tuning in, so I'm very thankful for that. I appreciate it. Whenever I get to do another video, if it's shared on this channel at that time,
It'll be this week. It'll be this week. It'll be this
week. Made for the Patreon, yeah, because I do touch on mental health towards the end. I'll just say real quick. So there's someone of expertise that will be coming in with that too, to add on to the whole mental health piece of what's going on and everything's going on. So that's a man, Jamar. He's about to be a doctor. Actually, he's working on his PhD right now.
Yeah,
and those that are working on their PhD, it feels like they're already a doctor. So sometimes I just give them that title because you're already experiencing and stuff. You just didn't get the exact paperwork yet, but you're doing the work. So even yous that don't have a career, you're still doing the work. If you're speaking out, if you're talking with us, if you're trying to make any kind of change, it does make a difference. I felt like you can't really make that much of a difference, but you can. You really can. You're doing it.
Why does that person keep saying in the chat NYC is done off? New York would never be done off because all the checks are cut in New York.
Love my state and city, but we're done off. Yeah, I don't know. They keep saying they're done off. Done off how though?
Right. Don't worry about it. I gotta go to a game show. I gotta go represent Team
BMT.
Good night, guys.
BMT, BMT, I got one.
Thank you, Joe.
Bro. I got one.
Thanks, panel.
What you want to say?
I got one suggestion, BMT.
Yes.
590 tactical, bro. 590 tactical.
I already got one of those on the way. I got one of those on the way.
Okay. All right. Good, man. Good man. Good man.
Don't worry. I got you.
Peace, y'all.
All right. Peace, y'all. Bye, y'all. Bye, y'all.